Welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. Hopefully you have enjoyed all the content we've put out this week for you, and welcome to the Friday fan-in show, the phone-in show, the Friday phone-in show. I don't know why I said fan-in show, the phone-in show. Well, it could be a fan-in show, but the Friday phone-in show ahead of tomorrow's massive game where, for me, it's got to be a win, nothing else, especially with Newcastle, United and Liverpool all coming up. Newcastle and I believe Liverpool are away, so tomorrow is a must-win game. But of course, back today, after I gave him the day off yesterday, I told him, Jack, you have to stay away from the channel today. You have to have some rest. It was hard to get him to do that, but he's back today. Jack, how are you, my man?
Doing pretty well, Dave. Yeah, I kind of upset very much the Micah Richards and Jamie Carragher PR team. It looks like yesterday on Twitter, a lot of people didn't find me to be very fun or amusing. It looks like, and it was kind of disappointing, Dave, because it seems like you're not allowed to, I guess, criticize or have any kind of fair criticism of the likes of CBS or Paramount Plus as an American, even though it's the Champions League program I'm forced to watch and condemned to watch. Apparently, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on it. So spent my day off, Dave, pretty much getting blown up on Twitter, almost 10 quote tweets and everything like that. It was quite fun, Dave, actually, to be fair. My phone was red hot.
No, look, sometimes a bit of shithousery on Twitter can actually be fun at times. Yeah. I'm well known for it, for a bit of shithousery on Twitter, but it's fun. It's good to see that you enjoyed your day off.
The Micah Richards PR team was hard at work, Dave. They worked very hard on their days off.
Oh, I love it. Well, look, guys, we've got a number of topics to discuss today. Of course, come on, feel free to share your thoughts on Vincent Kompany. Byron, I've seen a bit something to the contrary today, where they said that it's not true, that he hasn't turned down Tottenham, so we'll have to wait and see. Also, a bit about Danjuma. I also have some questions in the pre-match build-up tomorrow for that as well, so keep an eye out for that. Some good conversation. Should Spurs cash in on either Kane or Sonny if they get a good offer this summer?
Thought I'd wind you up this morning, Dave, not make it easy.
You know my answer to that. It's no. Simple, no debate, not talking about it. Move on. Pedro Chavez or James Maddison. It does seem to be who we're linked with in that car role. And then, just a few other topics. Whatever else you guys want to come on and discuss. Let's welcome a few people in. Let's see who we've got with us. And then we'll get Jack's thoughts on some of these topics. And then we'll move into getting the guest on. We've got Rabbi Jochanan says, we should have cashed in on Son last year when he was rumoured to be going to Real. Interesting. Phil Coy says, big up, lads. There's still time to build a trophy-winning team around Son and Kane. But I will say we are rapidly running out of time. Absolutely spot on, Phil. And he also says, Son, Kane and Kulu have to start for me. We have made this mistake before making drastic change. For example, Sheffield United. So you play your best team and get these three important points in the bag. Couldn't agree more with you there, Phil. Could not agree more, my man. Tequila 316 says, I'm very happy to be here. I support your war of terror.
Okay. I appreciate it.
That's towards you, Jacko, with your CBS stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely has been. Big up tequila. Got my soldiers.
We've got R Green 216 this afternoon, chaps, and everyone in the chat. Big up R Green.
Big up R Green.
216. Good to see you. We've got the first mark of the day in from the Mark Army. Big yourself up, brother. The disabled team says, good afternoon, Jack. Hope you are well. Good to see you, disabled team. Good to see you, my man. Danny says Phil Coyce was just what justifies Kulu starting at the moment. He's been shocking since the World Cup. Well, look, we'll get into that in just one moment, Danny. Danny holding Phil to account here, holding his feet to the
Kulusevski to maybe a higher standard as well. He's keeping the Spurs players to a high standard. Interesting, Dan.
LS Vlog says, hi, Dave. It's Lewis. Can I join the fan show, please? Yeah, look, don't worry, my man. I'll get you. I'll sort you out, Lewis. Big yourself up, brother. Liefeld says, no, purely because we're suck at replacing them. Another thing is playing Son out of position will always give you that result. Imagine him going to Liverpool or Chelsea. Look, I don't think we should get rid of Son. To me, I think Son has enough credit in the bank to warrant next season for sure. Look, what I will say is him and Kane are getting older. It does look like they don't want to press from the front anymore. They don't really want to start pressing the ball. Evident when Danjuma came on during the week, right? He came on, he started pressing the ball, and look at the results from it. When you look at what we've seen from Kane and Son this season, we can sit here and say it's tactics, which it probably is. But at the end of the day, you know, they could still sort of put pressure on the ball, but they choose not to. So I definitely think that's something we may need to look at in the summer, whether we go and play a different style or a new way with four at the back with a cam. You've got to get bodies in around Kane and Son, in my opinion, to help with that press and work, my man. Big yourself up. We've got the Bourbon Kid footballer side. What about
that name?
his new album? Too heavy for me, my man. Too heavy for me.
Good answer.
Simon Davies says for company to come to Spurs, he'll need a lobotomy first. Peter Spillane says, hi guys, Killer Kane running at Aintree today. Jack, I'll be back. Need to go to the bookies. If this is true and there's a horse called Killer Kane running at Aintree, I have to get that one. I have to. It's just made, you know. I'll be raging if that wins. Black Wolf 1967 says, make Kane manager. Yeah, look, a bit like when Rooney was player manager. Kev Charlton says, inside information, Fabian Schär to Spurs, boys, great signing, to be fair. I'll take him. I really like him. You know, he's got a good pass on him. He scores goals from centre-back as well. He's got a good fucking shot on him, that guy, actually. Very good shot on him. Geoff Totten says, good evening, guys. Hope you're well. Big up,
Geoff. And then also Dave Jason Bell celebrating 19 months as a fan show member. And he says, big up, lads. Is it time to start Sar over Højbjerg? So not even Skippy over Højbjerg. I like it. So him and Danny this morning, you know, waking up with, you know, just the honest opinions. I did that myself yesterday, Jason, on the likes of Twitter, you know, just put my honest opinions out there. And, you know, people are waking up with a bit of confidence, you know, in their stuff. I like it, Jason. And also just really do appreciate the 19 months. I was about to say just quickly, but I mean, that's a bit of a disservice too, because he's been around for 19 months. So thank you very much, Jason. If you want to come on and have your say, feel free, my man. If it's not really the day for you, I completely understand. Also, you have, I guess, the post-match fan shows with the likes of Jacob now too, Mondays, and really do appreciate it, Jason. Top man, 19 months. That's, like I said, Dave, sometimes feels like that's practically as long as I've been here, it feels like.
Look, he's definitely towards the front of the army. It's absolutely incredible service. We'll start after dishing out. We'll have to start dishing out stuff for 2 years for our service. So we will. Big up.
What are your thoughts quickly on him saying Sar over Højbjerg?
Do you know what? I actually put a question into the pre-match build-up over this because I'm a bit fed up with our midfield at the minute. I think, look, Højbjerg has been poor since Bentancur's coming out of the middle. This is a conversation me and you have had, Jack, where, you know, we feel that Højbjerg thrives with someone at his level or above him beside him. But when you put a youngster in beside him, it's like, you know, he kind of goes into his shell. He sort of goes missing. I wouldn't say drop Højbjerg. For me, I would actually take Skippy out of the team. I think when you look at it, Højbjerg, you know, there's been a couple of times this season where people have said he's played bad, but he's put some unbelievable balls through and end up helping with an assist, hit this or that. You know, the guy's, I think, has got, 5 goals, 5 assists so far this season. Skip, on the other hand, you know, amount of breakaways he had against Brighton, he didn't know what to do with the ball. He hadn't a clue what to do with the ball. 5 or 6 times in that first half, he went running down the left-hand side with it and hadn't a clue. He had to kept on turning back, and Brighton knew that, so they just kept on taking the ball off him. And plus, you know, I don't feel our midfield right now is proactive. Again, we're not putting any pressure on the ball. We're sitting in there, not making any tackles. For me, I don't understand why Sarr hasn't been seeing more game time. I thought he was the best player on the pitch at the San Siro, even better than Ollie Skip. I think he showed his passing range. I think he showed he can get stuck in, and he showed that he's cool and calm on the ball. For me, I'd have him in there over Skip for sure, and I want to see him in there this weekend over Skip. Højbjerg, I don't think you can take him out. I get Højbjerg's a very, very decisive player, right? And I get it. You know, you see some amazing performances, then you see some absolute dog shit performances. But the reality is, he's one of the only players out there that will speak to people, G people up, this, that, and the other. I can guarantee you now, you take that out, you take Højbjerg out, and you take that talking that comes with it, it's going to look even worse. That's just my opinion on it. I don't know where you're at with it.
I as much as I defend Højbjerg consistently and always and often even stubbornly, I do feel like Højbjerg is guilty of what maybe you said, Dave, where he does maybe need a brilliant midfielder next to him. He's not always capable of being able to sort of carry and sort of show the way for maybe a guy that needs to still learn and kind of be shown the ropes and occasionally might make a mistake. He seems to need kind of another midfielder, let's say, of his level next to him. Or at least that's the case when it comes to this midfield too, Dave, because when you do think about it as well, this pivot, right? You need 2 top-class midfielders, it seems like, to be able to do it because you're asking so much of them. It's not like they're really being asked to do just one or two things. They're really being asked to do pretty much everything. They're being asked to win the ball back. They're being asked to keep the shape. They're being asked to get forward when the opportunity, arises. They're also being asked to keep the tempo of the game, to move it from left to right, to also break the lines when need be, right? Don't be too pedestrian on the ball. And all those kind of things really are quite hard, I'll be honest. And it's not really easy for a young midfielder to be able to do those things, because a lot of parts of this system is also discipline, right? You need to be a very disciplined midfielder. You can't just be on your own page doing whatever you want, right? And I think Højbjerg, the reason a lot of managers like him is because he's a very disciplined midfielder who's probably a bit of a tactician himself, follows the instructions well and everything. And maybe having a player like a Sar, like a Skip, who have that sort of young ingenuity, that's a good thing. He might sometimes struggle to be on the same page as them. But I think that's not as much the young players' fault. I think that's also Højbjerg. Like, I think Højbjerg needs to be able to know how to work with other players, like in that sort of sense, because it's not like Skip and Sar are terrible players by any means, right? So it's kind of goes both ways. But I agree with you. I think I feel like we need that experience on the pitch. As much as I think Sar and Skippy look good in the AC Milan game, it's not something that I would continue for the rest of the season or anything like that. So I would rather just see Sar step in for Skip. And also, especially in the most recent game, I wouldn't say Skip made that much of a case for himself that he was that much better than Højbjerg, especially when you look at the entirety of the Brighton game. I would say Højbjerg stepped up majorly in the second half. And Skip probably stepped up a bit himself too, but I don't think he was really making a huge case for himself in that Brighton game to keep his spot ahead of Højbjerg.
I think Skip is just lacking on the ball, in my opinion. I think, look, there was a breakaway in the first few minutes. It's simple. One touch, play it into Sonny. He overhit his touch. Then there was a couple of other times he's running with the ball into no man's land, and for me, I just find he's wanting on the ball. I know people are going to say Dave, but Højbjerg, but you got to remember Højbjerg has played some wonderful assists this season, and I'd rather that sporadically from him, because I know I'm not going to get it from Skip. I don't look. I like Skip, right, and I would love to see him make it. And I get he's still young and he's still got time. But for me, there's still parts to his game that he needs to develop to become a mainstay in that Tottenham midfield. And that's not me being harsh. That's just me being realistic when I look at it. But I think the biggest part of the problem of our midfield is actually we just don't have the athleticism or energy in there right now. You look at Bentancur, right? How many times did you see Bentancur press the midfielder, press it onto the centre-back, press it all the way back to the goalkeeper, make them go along with it? You don't see Højbjerg or Skip doing that. You don't see them bursting out to put pressure on the ball. And that's what Bentancur gave us. And since he's sort of come out of the team, look how passive we are in defence, No one's getting pressure on the ball, and that's a huge loss.
I think that's what Jason Bell is kind of thinking here.
And also on the ball as well with Bentancur, it's a huge loss not having him there.
I think Jason must think that Pape Matar is, like he said, the closest thing to what we have at the moment to the loss of Bentancur, and he can fill those shoes. And whether that means resting Højbjerg or Skip, one of them probably does need to be rested in order to bring in someone who's just different, right? And we do know Pape Matar is different.
Agree with that. Big up, Jason. Good conversation starting online. I'd be interested to see what the comments are saying about our talk on that. We'll get to that now. Maureen says, cash in on Sonny. He's been shit all season. Look, I get it. I do get it. I understand. For me, though, when I look at Sonny, I don't think it's it right. When you looked at Dele, right, you looked at him. He's lost his way. He's lost his hunger. He didn't want to do what managers told him to do. When he was brought on the pitch, he was being very lazy, right? When you look at Son, I don't think it's about him being lazy or anything like that. I just feel that, look, that confidence is gone. That first touch, that little yard of pace that he used to have burst to get him away from a player, that decisiveness he once had. I think that's sort of gone this season due to a drain in confidence because he's not scoring the goals that he maybe replicated last season. But it's not like he's got a bad attitude, this, that, and the other, or he's just being lazy. So for me, I would actually keep him for another season just to make sure. Because I'll be honest, the last thing anyone wants is we put him up, he goes to Madrid or somewhere like that, and he's just banging them in, because then we'll all be moaning about it. Why did we let him go? Who in the club is watching this? Surely they would have known it's confidence rather than him being finished, this, that, and the other. So for me, I would give him another season for sure. The disabled team says, I did say hello to you too, Dave. Of course, man, of course.
Our favorite Leeds fan.
Hello to myself or Jack or both of us. We take it that you're saying hi to the both of us. But big up the Sable team. Really appreciate the support, my man. You didn't need to put it in the super chat, but really appreciate that support.
And he also says Son will come good next season. Honestly, he will. So from, the outside perspective as well, he's saying Sonny will come good. So keep the patience. Big yourself up.
Yeah,
Favorite Leeds fan.
We'll take a few more comments here and then we will crack on. The Bourbon Kid says, love you guys. I followed you from the beginning. I was Skippy.
And he says, I'm a Liverpool fan, and he was on us, I think, with that watch along as well. I think he threw a few super chats in on that watch along, the Bourbon Kid says. He says, Dave, wish you all my best as well. Love you.
Big up, my man. I really appreciate that support. That's top class, brother. I really appreciate it, my man. Absolute legend. And we've got Davo says, big up, lads. The best duo since Cagney and Lacey. I haven't a clue who Cagney and Lacey are, but I'll take that. Sounds like something off, what's that Australian program? Not Neighbours. What's the other one? Can't remember anyway. That's what it sounds like. But big up, Davo, my man. Really appreciate the support. We've got Paulio says, hi, Berg, nearly cost us against Brighton. Lucky with Bart. That's very, very true. Yeah, and actually, Papa Massar, to be fair, he did sort of give away that penalty against Southampton when he came off the bench as well. So, yeah, look, I understand. Peter Spillane says, Dave, it was 28-1. Back each way, flat cap Pete. Look, don't worry. I've got someone sprinting down to the bookies for me now. I can't, honestly, I'm not a massive gambler. Like I said, the odd weekend I'll throw on a €2 accumulator because I'm miserable like that. But when I see something like that, you just got to go for it, Pete. You just have to. Big up, my man. Absolute legend. We've got Badar says, big up, everyone. Good to see you, man. I'm absolutely pumped with that horse name. I need to get in contact with the owners. Sebas Wolf says, big up, guys. Jack, I hope you're enjoying the weather, brother. Big up, Sebas. I'm
trying to, Sebas. Yesterday, went on a nice long walk. It wasn't as sort of humid as it usually is, so I wasn't, sweating in, any of the bad areas like, it does, in the summer. It's really not pleasant, the more it gets like this. Trying to keep all the windows open right now, Sebas, but all the sirens, cop cars going by, and planes flying over the apartment is a little bit too loud. But Sebas going to try to stay cool and hopefully enjoy this weekend because it's still supposed to be pretty sunny. I guess we didn't even get any snow either, so I'm a little bit worried it's going to be very hot this summer. Big up,
Sebas. It's going to be roasting over there this summer. Absolutely melting. We've got Paddy Harness this afternoon, gents. I hope you're well. We're all good, Paddy. Hopefully you are keeping well, sir. We've got Andy, another Liverpool fan in here. Andy and Guyan says, Jack, Dave, on Danjuma situation. Look, I'm going to save my thoughts for tomorrow on that. I think they're going to be a bit controversial. So I think, not controversial, I just know many are just going to disagree with me. So I think I'll save that for tomorrow. What I will say, actually, no, fuck it. I'll just go for it. Because many more people will be listening tomorrow as well. On Danjuma, you look at the minutes he's got 23 minutes across the Premier League. Why didn't we keep Gill and develop him when we've invested in that guy? That's my opinion on it. When I look at Gill, he offered more off the bench. He offered energy, which is what Danjuma's offered. He's offered energy, willing to run. And I think Gill has had more impacts on games off the bench and at his time or the short minutes he's had at Tottenham than what Danjuma has had, in my opinion. I know people are going to say, Dave, controversial, get out of Gil Messi's ass, this, that, and the other. I don't care. For me, I'm just being honest. You've invested money into the kid. You gave a player plus 20 million. Yeah. Why not keep giving him the minutes and keep giving him time off the bench and let him settle in around with the guys he's playing with rather than bringing a guy on loan? And the only reason why we've done it is because of age. It's absolutely silly. The guy's older than Gil. Let's bring him in. It's silly. Absolutely silly. For me, it's been a waste of time. Absolute waste. You may as well just kept Gill.
What I had said actually during that January window was I wish maybe we had brought in Danjuma for the loan deal, moved out Lucas Moura because it looked like, what was it, Everton, some Turkish teams were sort of interested in Lucas Moura or something like that. I wish we took that opportunity, kept Hill Messi, and then had sort of been able to do some version of Danjuma as well as Hill sort of off the bench. And I think that would have been a lot better than just bringing on Lucas Moura for these continual 20-minute testimonials.
Fair, absolutely fair point. But look, we are going to get stuck into that topic tomorrow for sure. I just want to say a big up to Colin Turner. Big up to Stefan Blois. I hope you're keeping well, Stefan. Good to see you in the building. Big up Scotty Hynam as well. And then there's one more in here I need to say hi to that I think I've missed. 24Z, there he is. Big up 24Z. Good
up
to see you,
24.
my man.
Good man.
And also Spencer Arnold as well. If we could get 60 to 100 million for Kane, I'd sell. No, Spencer. We can't, man. We can't. You take these goals out of the team. We're either relegation fodder or mid-table fodder. We cannot afford to lose our best player. Plus, look, for me, it could go either way this summer. You might end up actually having to go without Kane anyway, and everything I've said is absolutely pointless. I just feel I don't think it's beneficial for us to cash in on either Kane or Son this summer. But there are many people that will just say to me, Dave, look, we just got to move on, got to go with a different era, this, that, and the other. So, look, let's wait and see where everyone is at. Spencer, but look, Jack, I think it's time to kick it off, my man. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it, everybody. Let's get the first guest on here.
What I will say to everybody is, if you do enjoy the content that myself and Jacko have now committed to putting out daily for all of you guys, feel free to smash that like button to help us with our fight in that algorithm. I mean, I'm constantly on the ropes with it, and I want to get off the ropes, and I want to smash it for good. I want to KO. So everyone smash that like button. Also, feel free to throw in your support via Super Chat, via grabbing a channel membership. Channel memberships is a small fee every single month. That really helps us out and keeps us going. And Super Chats, is more for you to engage with us in the moment with your comments, your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree. And don't be afraid to put in a Super Chat and go, or even a chat in the comment and go, I disagree with you, Dave. I disagree with you, Jack. Here's why. We're open to that. We love that here. So feel free to help support us via Super Chat or a channel membership. Look, I know it's tough times for everybody out there. Everyone's feeling the pinch. So the least we ask is the engagement in the comments. But like I've said before, we don't have any big wigs behind us, and the support is definitely needed. But look, enough from us now. People saying, shut up, Irish boy. Let's get on the next guest. So let's get Mia on. Where is she? My nemesis. My Friday argument. Let's get her on. No arguments today. I'm not
Listen, I disagree with everything you said, Dave. That's it. I disagree with you. You said I'm allowed to say it, so here I am saying it. I disagree.
That's why
argument.
Part of the reason, even not only because you're here first, Mia, but also because you have to get on first because you're just sitting there just disagreeing with Dave for the 30 minutes. You have to get you on first. You're torturing you at the back end.
Well, yeah, because no one else disagrees with him like I do. So it's more fun for me to come on and disagree.
Well done.
That's very true. Just quickly, big up Spurs 72 says my favorite Irish and American guys. Big yourself up, Spurs 72. Good to see you back, brother. How is life treating you? Do let me know. But look, Mia, where do you want to kick this off? You've heard me and Jack discuss about the midfield, maybe about the Danjuma situation. Do you want to start off with one of them, or do you want to start off with something different?
Yeah. No, we can start off there. I think for me, with the midfield, what you were saying about Højbjerg, I do get it. He speaks a lot and he seems to point a lot. He does a bit of the old pointing.
He loves it.
For me, I feel like I think he's so similar to Skip, but I think Skip offers something a little, he's obviously a bit younger. And he does have that tendency to run forward a little bit more, Skippy. He did make a few of those runs where Højbjerg doesn't tend to do that. I think that we need somebody, I don't know, I feel like they're very similar, and I feel like Højbjerg plays all the games. So I would like to see, even if it's for half a game or half an hour, I'd like to see the two boys, the young boys, again together, because I think it'd be good to see. But I think Højbjerg works better if he's in a three. Because I was talking about this the other day. I think that in a three, I think Højbjerg probably would work better because of what he does. But in the two, I just feel like I say, he's very similar to Skip. So I would like to see the younger two maybe try it. Not maybe the whole match, but just some of the match. Because I think Sarr is very good. And he's good on the ball. He's strong. And he does like to get stuck in. When he did play, the times we've seen him, he's got those super long legs. And he just gets the ball, the way he tackles as well. Because he's got those long legs. He reaches. He's got a good reach to get the ball back. So I think, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of Sarr, if I'm honest, just to change it up a little bit.
Do you know what? When I think I agree with you. Where I think Højbjerg and Skip are very similar. I think you can see that, right? I agree with you there. And I also agree with you that Skip maybe sort of looks to get on the ball and drive forward a bit more. However, this is where I have a problem with Skip. You've seen it against Brighton. He done it 3-4 times. There's no end product there whatsoever. It was kind of like, a couple of times he ran down the left into dead alleys.
Blind alleys, yeah.
Yeah, one near the start of the game. He's running through the middle. Just get it under control and play it to Sonny, and he hits a heavy touch. And that's where I feel Skip lets himself down, maybe, Mia?
Yeah, maybe he does, but maybe that's just because he's young and needs to learn.
Yeah.
But at least he tries. Like for me, Højbjerg doesn't even seem to try to do that. So I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of that energy in the midfield with the younger two, because I feel like that's what we kind of lack, because I feel like the other teams in and around us, their midfields have just got something, that little spark, where at the moment it doesn't feel like we've got that spark in the midfield, and we miss Bentancur so much, because that guy on the ball is, when I saw him live at the Everton game, watching him play that ball, oh my goodness, like he's so, it's just beautiful. It's like chef's kiss. Like I loved watching Bentancur in real life, because he's just so lovely on the ball, the way he is. He's just a smooth operator.
Beautiful balance.
So I think
he's got that beautiful balance.
Yeah. I remember that one time when he was on the edge of our own box and he just spun around and just took the ball, and you're just like, that was just filthy. I just loved it, So I think we do miss that massively. I feel like that's where we're really lacking, and I feel like Sarr offers a bit more ish of that than what the Højbjerg Skip combo does.
I feel like if. Sorry, Mia. I was going to say Højbjerg is looking, if anything, from coming again from somebody who does praise him quite often. He does look maybe a bit leggier than he normally would, right? And that's where people probably do get to criticize him, right? Is they see the pointing, but they don't see the movement as much as he usually might, at least in my eyes, because even I see him move around a lot more than he has been recently. And I see the way he was kind of pressing people in the second half. I saw a lot more of that for the whole 90 minutes from him. It felt like in the beginning and kind of middle part of the season, but now he's starting to look kind of a bit leggy, but he seems to be that player that just won't admit it to himself either. Right.
Wait.
Yeah, I do think he looks a bit leggy, and I feel like that with him, he has more of moments, so he isn't consistent always in games either. So I think that is down to the fact that he plays so many games. Like he does play a lot of games. So I wouldn't, like I say, I think that he needs that rest anyway, and I think it's good to mix it up a little bit, like just to do it. Like I think that it would be good to have that a little bit of refresh with certain players, just to like a Danjuma to come in, just to mix it up a bit, like just to get something a little bit different there to see what happens.
Hold that thought on Danjuma, because that's where we're going to go next, Mia.
Okay.
Quickly, I just want to maybe address Black Wolf's comment here, because look, maybe this is something to do with it, where he says our centre backs are so poor. The midfield have to stay sitting in and protect them. Maybe that's why, an answer to my question on why they don't go and put pressure on the ball. What do you think on that?
I think that I do get that, but I think as well, we have to have hard-working midfielders, because if they want to get back, they have to be quite hard working. And a lot of the other teams, they've got midfielders who will press and do both, but they'll get back. They will press and move forward, but they will get back as well. So that's where you have to have that really hard working midfield. And I just don't think we've got that. And I think that is a problem as well, Yeah.
Yeah.
I think psychologically it is actually for the midfield, to answer Black Wolf's comment. I feel like it's where the defense is giving the ball away repetitively, that the midfield doesn't feel as courageous or as adventurous. They actually start dropping off because we keep giving the ball away in such a useless and kind of pathetic kind of manner. And it often even is our own midfielders, let's be honest, like they're guilty of it too, but it is coming more so from our defense, the way that we do give the ball up so easily, and from our goalkeeper, that perhaps the midfield, since it's only two of them, they feel less brave to sort of express themselves. And so they kind of start dropping off because it's kind of more psychological. So it goes both ways. It's like it's the defense and Hugo Lloris and players like that giving the ball away constantly, which gets in your head. But it's also the midfielders kind of getting in their own head of seeing the ball continuously giving away and then not being as brave on the ball when you kind of need them to be, because they are the midfielders after all.
That is a thing, 100%. Like if I was in that midfield, right, if we put ourselves in their position, right, without the ball, you're watching Kane and Son sort of just form a blanket line, no one putting pressure on the ball comes in. You're then in your mind, do I go and put pressure on that ball, knowing that they have a passing option around me and they can play in at me and get at the centre-backs? Or do I sit in and just sit in front of the centre-backs and look to protect them? I actually think they don't know what to do. If you want me to be brutally honest, when I look at it, I think you know, they're sort of caught in two minds. They're overthinking things because that's where I think I'm at with that midfield. I definitely, if I was in that position, I wouldn't know what to do. Do I go and press the ball? Do I stay disciplined and sit in and protect the back four? It's a hard one to know. But look, Simon Davies has come in here with maybe a solution. He says if we play 3-1-4-2, you can have Højbjerg in front of the back three, offering protection, and let Sarr and Skippy off the leash, which Simon, I think, is what Mia was more or less alluding to as maybe the solution. But look, Mia, let's move on to the curious case of Danjuma. What do you think? You know, look,
there's a guy called Danjuma. I didn't know that we had the Danjuma at our club.
He's been very well hidden away. That I must say, that very well hidden away.
Where's Danjuma?
What do you think of the situation, though, Mia? What was the point of bringing him in if we're not going to use him more than what we've used him?
I don't know. Like I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any kind of sense. The only thing I can think of is like if they're thinking in case someone, like enough players got injuries. That's the only thing I can logically think. But again, he wouldn't surely have come in if that's what they told him, that you're going to basically be used very scarcely if we get if we get injuries. Like it's just so strange. That what are they doing? Like the poor boy just sitting there thinking, what am I doing here? Like I feel really sorry for him. Like if I'm completely honest, I feel a bit bad for the boy because I think he come in, maybe thought, oh yeah, I'm going Tottenham. They took me away from Everton. Maybe they they want me. They really want me. And then they're a bit like, nah, actually, mate, you can sit on the bench. Like we're not interested. It's just a really, like I say, it's a really odd thing. That why did we bother to bring him in? I just haven't got a clue what they were thinking, if I'm honest.
It's kind of like Mia. He's had more minutes on the Spurs YouTube channel than he really has, on the Spurs on the actual pitch. Like, if anything, like, and so why?
So true.
I just, in my case, I don't even know if it's worth comparing like Bryan Gil versus Danjuma, like in terms of like who's been more impactful, because Danjuma's only had 20 minutes or whatever it's been in the first place. Like there's nothing really to analyze. There's no real sample size, but it does feel like if he is going to be so far down the pecking order, Mia, that is kind of why you feel like, what was the point of giving up Bryan Gil? Because Bryan Gil seemed to kind of be breaking that pecking order a little bit. He started to kind of threaten it to an extent because of maybe some injuries, but also because he's not a player on loan. He's technically a player that is supposedly here for the future and everything. Whereas I think with Danjuma, they do look at it, maybe the coaches as well, as like a temporary player. So it's like they don't often think like, give him a huge chance because he might not even be here next season as well.
Yeah. Like I say, I think with Bryan Gil, I think that he did probably need to get more minutes somewhere because I think it will improve him as a player. He does need to get a bit more, like a bit stronger on the ball. He's very skillful, but he needs to like be a little, get the minutes in to get that experience. So I kind of see why with Bryan Gil, but to bring somebody else in who you don't use is just really silly. Like it's just a silly move, like a pointless and wasting. Like it's wasteful. Why bother to waste the time to bring this guy in? Like it just completely baffled me on what they're doing with him. Like, is he just there for social media? Did they think, oh, we'll bring him in for social media? Maybe that was in his contract. We'll give you social media time.
I think when they looked at it, right, they saw a guy that, had a good spell at Villarreal, done well with Bournemouth when he was there. And I think, they probably looked at it and said, okay, this guy's got more experience than Gil. He's got experience in Europe, this, that, and the other. But nobody wants to use them. So what's the point? You know, I'm at the this is what I'm getting at all the time. We keep clogging up the pathway for players we've got here or youth players to come in and this, that, and the other. And this is another example of it for me. And I'm not sitting here saying that Danjuma is a bad player, this, that, and the other, because he's not. He's just been unfortunate. But again, it's just another bit of oversight, mismanagement. In my opinion, I don't think it's good enough. But do you think that he should come in over Kulusevski, maybe play him on the left and move Sonny to the right?
Joe, I wouldn't mind seeing that again for the sake of freshening it up. I just think, yeah, because if like with our front three, it does I do feel like it gets a bit stale, and I just wonder if we can change it up with the players that we have got. Why not do that? Just to kind of, we're at the end of the season, yeah, and I know that it's like I want to get a top four. I want to get as high as possible in the table. Like I'm not someone who doesn't want that, because to me, I want to do that. Like I've always been like that, and I always will. But if I think in certain games, like a game like we're at home against Bournemouth, like we can change it. It's not like a game against Liverpool or a game against the Man United. So why not do it in these kind of games to change it? Because I feel like we can always change it if it's not working. We can always change it back and revert back to type if it isn't working. But a game like Bournemouth is a perfect game, in my opinion. They're lower down in the league. We shouldn't be like that worried at home to change it up a little bit. Like, surely not.
It's not even that, though, Mia. I think it's also like fans get frustrated, even if it's the same system, that we just don't express ourselves a bit more in whatever system we might have, right? Or whatever shape we might have when we come up against these teams at home. You want us to see us be a bit more adventurous. You want to see us be like a bit more positive on the ball, take a few more risks and things like that. And that's where it gets frustrating is like, go ahead. Sorry.
But maybe a change of players will make that threat, like make it a bit more, because those players will come on and they want to prove a point. So Danjuma's got a point to prove. You sat me on the bench, I'm going to show you this is what I can do. You know, like that's what you want. You want players that want to prove a point, and maybe they will give that extra 10%. You know, and I think actually that's a good idea, like to try and change it up, because we ain't going to change the formation. Like, honestly, I just think that anyone who thinks we're going to, I thought, no, we're not. And I said that from the beginning. As soon as they said Stellini and Mason, I said, we're not changing the formation. But we could try something different with players, because like I say, players, it does get a bit stale and a bit like monotonous. Well, we're playing the same players. Get a few little different players on the pitch, see what happens. Because if Sarr comes on and obviously Danjuma comes on, that's two players have got a point to prove. So I think I think that's a way of freshening it up without changing the formation, because that's not going to happen.
Just quickly before we let you plug your channel, Mia, I hear you, and I understand what you're saying about maybe getting a Sarr and a Danjuma in there and freshen it up. I just feel that with us now going for the top four and every game is a must, I don't see them doing it. I really don't. I think that opportunity is gone. That opportunity was there before the World Cup, maybe after the World Cup, where the game's coming in thick and fast. We didn't do it then. I don't disagree with you. I would like to see a change in that.
I want to have some sort of stability before these big games that are coming up.
Yeah, I just don't envision us changing anything too much. I think they're just going to put out what they believe is their best 11 and try and get the job done. But like you're saying, sometimes that one or two changes could just freshen it up and help us. But look, we'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow, Mia. But Mia, what's coming up on this fantastic channel? You put out a video today.
Yes, I did a little review, a preview show of the game, gave my score predictions, who I think will line up. I did actually go with I think you're right. I don't think they will change it. So I think it's pretty much predictable, if I'm honest. But I didn't do it was only, I think, about 5 minutes. So I want you all, if you've got 5 minutes after this show, go and give it a watch and a like. Watch it the whole way through, though. Don't mess up the algorithm by watching half of it and liking it, because that's that just messes it up. So if you can go over and, like I say, give me a subscribe. I'm trying to push to get to that 400 now. That's my next big marker. So I appreciate everyone's support. Everyone's been fantastic on the channel. So I do really appreciate everybody who comes on, has their opinion. I've been told that I'm a Levy channel, I'm a Levy supporting channel, which is not the truth. So if anybody hears that rumour, it's really not true. I welcome everybody's opinions as long as it's constructive and sensible. Like, I don't want people insulting people or saying it's the fans' fault, because I'm not about that. I'm about keeping it kind of nice and a good vibe by having your opinions, but in a constructive way. So I'm definitely not somebody who doesn't want people who are Levy out on my channel. There's plenty of them, and I always discuss things with them in a civil manner. So anybody who tells you that rumour, that is a truly false rumour. I'm not paid by the club either, which unfortunate really. I wouldn't mind being paid by the club.
It's a ridiculous narrative that goes around that these channels are paid by the club. You know, I've never had anyone reach out from the club and say, Dave, I'm going to pay you to keep doing what you're doing, to slander the likes of Harry Winks and Dyer and all that every single week. It's absolutely madness. Anyway, look, not getting into that today, Mia, but everyone, please do actually get over and check out Mia's video that she uploaded today. I'm actually a diva. I always smash a like. I just never comment. I need to start getting my comments in underneath there too. And I did check it out already. Yes. But people, get over, check it out, and let's help get Mia to 400. The road to 400 is on. Let's get it done. Mia, thank you for your time this afternoon, and a great way to kick us off. Didn't get my Friday argument today. I got something a bit different. I got Friday calm, but look, maybe there's always next Friday, right?
Yeah, that's fine. I can disagree with you easily. Apparently I can have a fight in a phone box. That's what I got told today. So, bring it on.
Love it. Mia, big yourself up, and we'll speak again soon, my dear. Thank you very much.
Speak to you soon.
See ya. There you are, everyone. That is Mia. Please do get over and check out our channel and smash that subscribe button. Great way to kick it off. A great chat, actually. I really enjoyed that. Let's see who else is joining us in the comments. We're getting people coming in every few minutes, which is great. We'll take a few and we'll keep cracking on. Terry Wright says Trossard was the player we should have brought in. Danjuma is just another example of Spurs being Spurs and not act like a big club. I mean, look, Jack, you know, you were a leader of the band for a Trossard coming in, right? You know, even me, I was a bit against it at the time. I was like, nah, I'm not sure. I think I just have a problem with Brighton in general because of that Harry Potter idiot. But you know, you were calling for Trossard, and that probably would have made more sense if it was permanent, right?
I kind of vouch for the Trossard one just because I saw it as a very good opportunistic signing, and we know Spurs are that type of club, right? That always seem to be, right? We're always, on the radar FC or monitoring FC or closely watching FC. That means we're an opportunistic signing type team. Like, we're not just going to go cashing in grand on a player unless we really know that's the guy we like. And it felt like with Trossard, Dave, it wasn't like you were going to be spending 30 million or anything like that. It just seemed like it was going to be something under the realms of around 20 million, 18 million, 22, whatever it ended up being. I think that Arsenal paid. It was going to be a lot cheaper than probably most had expected for a guy like him, especially with the season he's been having and the season he had last season too, right? It's not like he's not like he's one of my favorite players or anything like that, Dave, but I did see him as a very good signing considering the time and considering the price that he was up for. And I felt like it was a huge waste by Spurs to lowball Brighton like that and then give Arsenal a chance to sort of take over the negotiations. And I thought it was a mistake. And now when you look at the Danjuma situation, like I said before, where they don't really seem to look at him as an actual player at Spurs, they just seem to look at him as a real temporary player. Had we brought in someone permanently like Trossard, maybe we'd be seeing more of an impact from a player like that. And then maybe the whole, Hill Messi going to Sevilla would have made more sense anyway.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't one of them trying to take advantage of Brighton's, situation with the contract, like we done with Everton, right? But overpaid. So hopefully it's not that.
But we're just supposed to be that type of club, and so it's frustrating when we ended up dropping the ball with that situation when we're supposed to be that type of team anyway. So it's frustrating. Yeah.
For sure. Big up, Bobby. Hopefully you and the kids and the family are keeping well, my man, over in Canada. I'm actually watching a program at the minute, right? It's called the Race Across the World, and they're actually I don't know why it's called Race Across the World. I may as well call it Race Across Canada because they're doing from one end of Canada to the other, from top to bottom on their way. Absolutely fascinating. I need to get to Canada. I absolutely love the landscape that they're in, the environment, my man. I didn't realize that Canada was like that. It's unbelievable. Quickly, just big up Derek Hutchison as well. And checkmate, what team are you on the Football Manager? Let me know. I've got a good Spurs save underway. But look, let's get on to these super chats. We've got Adrian Chia says, big up, lads. Not having a sweeper keeper also hurt. I mean, Jack, I'm not even going to comment because this is all you've been banging on about all season long.
Listen, Adrian, I'll keep it short and maybe go to my big hitting points, as I've maybe said this whole season. I just don't think maybe the way keepers are nowadays, they can just be shot stoppers. They have to be a lot more than that. They need to be able to handle the ball with their feet. They need to be able to handle being pressed. They need to be more dominant. I think in the penalty area, when the balls come into the box, it's just the position is being asked a lot more of. It's kind of like how the fullback position, right, is becoming, I think, a lot different than what it used to be. Fullbacks are being asked to do a whole lot more than what they used to. And I think it's the same thing with goalkeepers. I think that the position is just changing right in front of our eyes. And it's kind of time for us to sort of kind of get with it. And I feel like players like Lloris, players like maybe the old kind of, the old guard of goalkeepers that were never really asked to do very much with their feet are kind of getting caught out for it. And it's a shame because you're seeing some great goalkeepers of the past sort of start to make some big mistakes. And maybe it's a bit harsh to see, but at the same time, I feel like it's just where the game is nowadays, that we need to look at goalkeepers that actually have a very sort of, how would you say, Dave, just that eye for a pass, that ability to handle being put under pressure. And you look at it, right, guys, like I hate using the Gooners as examples, but Ramsdale, as much as I kind of originally kind of shit on that signing, he's proven that you need to go for the modern goalkeeper. You need to go for the guy that's good with his feet and can help you play that progressive brand of football. And let's be honest, right? If we want to play this attractive brand of football and everything like that, we need an attractive goalkeeper that can be able to play that with us.
Many people would say Hugo Lloris is attractive, though, Jack.
That's very fair, Dave.
I know Ellie said
if
it.
Only he was attractive with the ball at his feet.
For sure. I also want to say a big up to Lisa coming in there as well. Good to see you. She says big up Jack, Dave and Mia. Good morning, afternoon in the chat. And also big up to Sean Maddox as well. Good to see you in here. And also Derek Schmidt and Paul G as well. Great to see you all. But big up Adrian Chia. Look, for me, I just don't understand why the guy's back in goals. Fraser Forrester have done a better job. Just put him back in. You know, I just don't understand it, my man. Drives me mad. Look, that's why I just want this season to be over, to be honest with you, Adrian. But big yourself up, brother, and really appreciate the support. And looking forward to the script tomorrow. Let's see if it's a nice, tasty one, my man. We've got Dermotron. Big up, Dermotron. Do you know what? He'd probably give Peter Crouch a run for his money on the robot. So he would. Big up, Dermo. He says, tomorrow we need to be more on the front foot. I need them to get me going as a Spurs fan. Big up, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Look, we should be playing on the front foot. What I will say is Bournemouth have become a very tricky customer under Gary O'Neill. Yeah. They do have a few surprises and a few scalps. They are in the middle of a relegation battle, so you've no doubt that they're going to give it their all. Plus, we were very lucky not to be turned over and an upset down at their place. I think, what was it? Was it 2-0 up they went? And then we end up clawing it back. I think Bentancur got the winner, if my mind serves me correctly. Can't afford to put ourselves in that situation this time around. Just can't do it. I've no doubt they're going to go up with that big lump of shite up front, Kiefer Moore as well. Just purely because he roasted us the last time. Just long ball into him, let him play off him. Got to have a plan for that this time. You stop that, we stop Bournemouth, in my opinion. And we should end up being on the front foot and getting the result there, Mo.
Dermot, just don't watch back the highlights of that game. I remember it being a defensive clown class, not a master class, a clown class from all of them. It really was. And if Dave and I have this sort of saved compilation of a lot of the errors, right, that the players have made this season, I feel like Bournemouth had like some pretty atrocious ones in that, especially from the likes of Sanchez too. So yeah, not a good day for Spurs. That one was.
Yeah, me and Jack have actually been collecting all the errors. You know, we've been spare time going back, looking at results, errors.
Putting ourselves under further torture.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is further torture. You want to torture any Spurs fan, you know, just make them sit there and watch reruns of the game. We got Sonny, Jack. He says, I love Neuer. I always played goalkeeper growing up, and he was incredible to watch. Same as Dark Sun G, actually. Dark Sun G was a goalkeeper. What we'll have to do is get you and Dark Sun G together, and me and Jack take penalties.
IrishHotspur Goalkeepers Union.
Yeah. Get some penalty shootouts going. Big up, Sonny. And then we've got Go For It as well. It says, looking at the Spurs logo always makes me crave fried chicken.
Order yourself some Go For It. It's a Friday or a Saturday, I imagine, for you, my friend.
Controversial though, Jack. You weren't a big fan of the sacred chicken.
No, that's for another time, Dave. Might have to do like, might have to do like a video essay on that. Let's get the next guest in here, Dave. He's been waiting very patiently, I imagine.
Yeah.
Tired of us waffling on here. And I think he's also.
I'll
Say
just
that
stop
again?
his call at the back in 1 second.
No worries. And yeah, he's I think also as well been dying to get on because he's a little pressed for time. Mr. Michael.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Michael.
Or
What's up?
Jack, I guess, right? David's not here.
Dave's taking the business call. But what's up, Michael? How are we?
Good, relatively good. Everything's going fine with the uni, so that's the utmost priority. And yeah, with Spurs, don't want to say I'm checked out, but I'm kind of checked out. But that's nothing new, right? No.
Well, what do you make of maybe the conversation that Mia and Dave were kind of having towards the end there, and the one that's kind of in front of you? Do you want to start with that? Just Danjuma and Kulusevski and sort of what you go for maybe the rest of the games. I think it's an interesting debate because Kulusevski, for me, I don't know about you, Michael. I feel like he's doing all the right things, getting into the right positions, but it's just that final end product, whether it be the shot, the pass, or maybe the final touch or something, or the, a cross or something. He's not really, getting it right and getting it perfect. He's not executing it. He's doing a lot of the initial things, well, like he just saw against Brighton, he's skinning 3-4 men and then just at the final bit, just maybe doing something a bit off. And it feels like, is there an opportunity maybe to get someone in there like a Danjuma instead? Or do you have to also consider some consistency before the Man United, Liverpool games and stuff?
So for me, I would say that because we are playing once a week right now, I wouldn't change the starting lineup. I think consistency is king in terms of battling it out for fourth spot or whatever, right? If it's working, then don't change it. That's my opinion. And as you said, Jacko, for me, Kulusevski is getting into all the right positions. He's doing magnificent things on the ball. It's just that this end product is missing. But in my opinion, he's still better, definitely much better than Lucas Moura. I don't think that's even a discussion, right? I think it's hard for me to compare him to Danjuma because we saw 50 minutes of that guy playing in total, 25 in Premier League and 30 in FA Cup against Preston.
I think you more judge him based on the player he was at Villarreal. I think that's more the player you're still judging with. Yeah. With
that in mind, I think I don't think Danjuma is a right-sided player. Majority of his time that he spent playing was either as a left winger or left center forward, in a pairing of two, but on the left side. So in my opinion, putting him on the right, and same thing with Sonny, is kind of making them worse for the better of the team, but it's not really that much better, right? I think that even though Kulusevski lacks a bit of end product, I still think he's better on the right as a right winger than Danjuma put there, or Sonny being played there, right? Now, if Richarlison was fully fit and ready to go, I wouldn't mind seeing Richarlison, because I think that with when Kulusevski was down low, nothing stuck for him, and Rich was on and up, I think they were comparable in terms of the job they were doing on the right wing, right? So that I wouldn't mind, but Danjuma or Son on the right, I'm not really a big fan of.
Do you know what? Let me ask you, Michael. Richarlison on the right. For me, I think he's had his best game in a Tottenham jersey on that right-hand side. If I'm correct, was it Forest he played on the right-hand side?
Correct.
Nottingham Forest. I think he had a very good game. I thought, he's one of the best players on the pitch that day. And I think that's been his best performance in a Spurs jersey.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. Listen, I still think he's better as a striker, right? But we aren't moving Kane. Kane is a given, right? Kane is always there, right? So for me, as I said, I wouldn't mind seeing him on the right wing, Richarlison. But Danjuma and Moura, no, definitely not. I prefer Kulusevski with lack of end product rather than Lucas. Well, Lucas can't play, right? Because he got red carded. But Danjuma he also. I wouldn't mind seeing him earlier. Come on earlier, right?
Yeah.
Not for the last 5 minutes, but maybe give him 20-25 minutes. Let him use that pace, use his energy, whatever, right? But I don't want to see him starting the game. I still think Kulusevski gives us more when he starts the game, right?
I actually agree with that. For me, when I look at Kulu, look, you got to look at the defensive work the guy does as well. He does unbelievably unselfish work defensively, but also look at the amount of times he just picks up the ball and just drives down that right hand side. And for me,
Exactly.
I get maybe the end product hasn't been there of late. He's getting into positions that he would have got in where he would have whipped in a great ball for a goal, or he would have buried it into the bottom corner or the top corner. That's not there at the minute, but everything else to his game is there. And I agree with you. I'd actually keep Kulu in there and maybe look to impact the game a bit later on when we sit back, we don't get the pressure on the ball, and bring on a Richarlison and a Danjuma either side of Kane and just get them to chase the ball, get them to push the opposition back. That's what Danjuma done when he came on against Brighton, and it actually helped us. The first thing he done was press the centre back, ball back to the goalkeeper, presses that as well, he goes long, we turn the ball over. And that's the sort of impact we need in around that 65, 70 minute mark, rather than everyone just relinquishing, because what we've praised Richarlison for this season, if you remember, take yourself back to the earlier part of the season when he was coming on the left-hand side, everyone was praising him for his work, pressing the ball, this, that, and the other. Not what he was doing on the ball, but what he was doing off the ball. I think having a Danjuma and a Richarlison to come off the bench could actually help us. And you might not see what we've seen against Everton, the late goal, what we've seen against Southampton, the late goals. What do you think on that, Michael?
Yes, exactly. I think it's wise to utilize the tools that you are given, right? So I get frustrated often with how late we like commit to changing the game plan or changing even the personnel right on the pitch, because like it was same thing with Hill, right? I never advocated for Hill to start over Son or Kulusevski, right? But I would be happier if he came on more often or earlier, right? Listen, like to give a player 7 minutes to make an impact, you are basically like banking on a miracle, right? That they do
Michael,
something
the player's not
like
coming
magical,
on
right?
to make an impact with 7 minutes either.
Exactly. Like if you are not a diehard fan of a club or whatever, right? And it's a derby, and you take it upon your heart and pride to make.
It's really only people like us or academy kids that would be happy to come on for 6 minutes and
exactly
good point.
right.
Good point.
So yeah, like if you come on with 7 minutes to go, you won't make an impact. But if you have 25 minutes, then you can participate in at least a few attacks, right? And then you are given more chances. It's just like basic probability, right? If something happens once and you have 50%, for it to happen, it's 50%, right? But if the same situation keeps repeating, I know it's still 50%, right? But yeah, statistically, I just made a shitty point because it's still 50%, but but you get what I mean, right? So yeah, like I wouldn't mind seeing Danjuma, and also like one thing quickly on Danjuma and Hill. I completely agree with the fact that why is Danjuma here if Hill was here, right? Unless like he gave an ultimatum to the club that he needs to go and play, and they were like, okay, we will send you to Spain, and then they had a void to fill, right, in the squad. Then I can understand that, right? But otherwise, like with how rarely he is used, Danjuma, it would be no difference if it was Hill or Danjuma on the bench, right? Because they are getting like 7 minutes a game or 5 minutes a game or whatever, right? So yeah.
No, look, for me, I was actually thinking about it yesterday when I was putting together the pre-match build-up, and it's like 23 minutes. I think there's been 4 games where he hasn't featured at all, and it's like, what was the point? Just keep someone like a Gale or even a Harvey White or a fucking Alfie Devine. Just give them minutes to one of them kids or something like that. I completely agree. But Michael, let's change course. Let's talk about.
I was about to say, because you guys have some cracking topics, and I didn't want to talk.
What other topics do you want to discuss? Do you want to discuss company? Do you want to discuss maybe Pedro Gonçalves or James Maddison, or what Jack has here? Spurs need to offload a lot of players this summer. Which ones would you get rid of in the midfield?
I think the midfield midfield has a huge kind of sort of like not huge. It's not as bad as the center back situation, Michael, because you're kind of offloading some decent players for the most part. But it's just sort of misused toys, it feels like, at Spurs when it comes to the midfield, like just too much of the same thing. Whereas with the center back situation, you're just offloading useless players that you're just trying to get away.
Yeah.
But what do you think with the midfield? You have Gio Lo Celso coming back. You got Tanguy coming back. And then we also are looking to get into Pedro Gonçalves and to James Maddison. Do you have to consider making even more room for some midfielders? Like, do you consider getting rid of a Basuma, a Skip, a Sarr, a Højbjerg, right? Like some people are saying maybe now it's Højbjerg's time.
So like it's kind of funny because for me all three topics kind of like are all stuck together because the base thing for me is it all depends on what type of system we will play and who will be the manager, right? So if we are playing 3-4-3 next season, right, then I don't really think like Maddison is the best choice. I think his best position is as a like shadow striker, number 10, the guy sitting behind the striker, which won't happen in our which won't happen if we play 3-4-3, right? You cannot put Maddison in a double pivot in the midfield because like he will be playing so far up the pitch that we won't have necessary cover in the midfield, right? So in that case, I think Goncalves would be a lot better because he not only plays in the midfield but he also plays on the wings, right? So in that case, Goncalves would be much better for me. But if we play a 4-2-3-1, for example, with a dedicated spot for a cam, I think Maddison would be a perfect signing, right? I am a big fan of Maddison, even though he is a bit of a gunner, as far as I remember, right? I am a big fan of what he's doing, how he's carrying that Leicester team like for a few seasons already. Like seriously, that's magnificent work that he is doing, and I think that with our like striking force of Son, Kane, and Kulusevski, assuming they are there next season, right? I think he would absolutely thrive because if you think about it, he would have like amazing finishers to pass the ball into, right? To rack up assists, but also like in that Leicester team, I don't want to say the only threat because I think that Leicester's like front part of the pitch is actually not that bad. I think Harvey Barnes is an okay player. I think Iheanacho is like a really good player, right? So it's not like he's the only threat, but oftentimes like teams focus on Maddison, right?
Yeah.
You shut down Maddison, you shut down Leicester pretty much, right? But in our team, they like you can't just focus on Maddison. You can't leave Son, Kane, and Kulusevski unmarked, right? So I think in that case, like Maddison would be a perfect signing for me.
Do you know what, Michael?
Yeah. Go on.
When I look at the Maddison and Goncalves situation, for me, right, I actually really like both players.
I love them both.
I still hold a grudge against Maddison because he done a celebration during the lockdown when they scored straight after half time and it was disallowed, but it was like the smooth criminal sort of style celebration. It really annoyed me at the time. I remember it really annoyed me at the time, probably because it was against Tottenham. But look, I think Maddison, right, we need to start getting in some of the best homegrown players, English quarter players that there is. Maddison, you would say, potentially one of the ones that we can afford that is a good player. Free kick taker, set piece specialist. There's a lot that he'll probably bring a good relationship with Harry Kane, you'd like to think as well. My problem with Maddison is there are some reports, and I've heard it around the place, that the guy's a bit of an attitude problem. That concerns me. We've already been down that route with Lo Celso, Dele Alli, Ndombele, people like that, and I'm not sure I want to go down that route. I would prefer to bring in Pedro Gonçalves. I was actually saying this with Sonny last night. I think when you look at this situation, I know Gonçalves is going to cost double the money Maddison is because Maddison's contract is running down, right? But I think on this one, you've got to look into the mentality. I think we've got to learn lessons from Bruno Fernandes and Lo Celso. You look at what Bruno Fernandes for United, regardless of their manager, he wants to win, and you see that on the pitch, right? Whereas you look at Lo Celso, it didn't work out for us. And for me, when I look at this, I'd much rather spend double the money and get the guy in with a winning mentality like a Pedro Gonçalves than someone like a James Maddison, in my opinion. Plus, Pedro Gonçalves has hit double digits in goals and assists.
Amazing
Under Amarin. So for me, and he can play in a deeper role, and a cam, he can play on the left as well, and he can play on the right. And for me, I think he's actually technically far superior than someone like James Maddison. I would rather go for a Gonçalves, but I do think Tottenham will look at end up bringing in James Maddison purely because we do need to do something with that English quota. And I know people are going to say, Dave, get both. Not going to happen.
Never going to happen.
That's my thoughts on it. I don't know where you are at with that, Jack.
I feel like I'm a big fan of Pedro Gonçalves, but I feel like what you said there, you can't get both. And because the reason why you can't get both is because I think you fall into like getting it's like getting Tanguy Ndombele and Gio Lo Celso at the same time all over again, where you're buying two creative midfielders. I know Gio Lo Celso, a lot of people have made the case maybe he was actually a bit better deeper. Regardless, I think he was supposed to be coming in to play somewhat similar position to the likes of Tanguy and Ndombele in some sense, shape or form.
I think, sorry, quickly, I think the idea was that Ndombele was supposed to be a Musa replacement and Gio Lo Celso was supposed to be Eriksen, right? So,
but it was backwards. It was kind of backwards where Tanguy was clearly better, maybe a bit higher up, and then Gio was better a bit deeper. But point is, they're both useless. And I think that wouldn't be the case with Gonçalves and with Maddison. But I think you find a situation where they're similar type players, probably wanting to play similar type positions. I feel like James Maddison might actually have a bit of a better pass on him than Gonçalves, but then Gonçalves has like proven to be a goal scoring midfielder, like in creative midfielder his whole time. I mean, the fact that he scored like 23 goals, whatever it was, that one season, and was the top goal scorer. And he wasn't even a striker. He wasn't even a striker for them, which is very impressive. And I think that was right after Bruno Fernandes, left too. So it proves, right, that he's capable of putting in some goals, and that would be nice to have as that extra guy who can help out in that department. And he is familiar with a 3-4-3, which seems to be a common formation and in a common shape. I know people hate it, but for a lot of managers it is. And so he seems to be that interesting player. I would also I don't know. I'd be really actually ecstatic with both players. I really rate both of them very highly. I'd be ecstatic with both. Really.
Yes, of course. Like, listen, if we pulled out the madness and signed both, like,
I'm all for it. Either one of them is what I meant. I'd be ecstatic with either one.
Either
one. Yeah.
If you're Scott Munn, though, guys, surely that should be your ambition, right? Sort of get the fans off your back nice and early and bring in some statement signings and buy yourself a bit of time. But look, let's wait and see what happens. Go on.
Yeah, sorry, quickly. I think the reason why we won't sign both is because we need to sort out this defense.
Yeah.
Like, the issue is we don't have unlimited funds, right? We all know that it's whether it's like 150 million, whatever, right? We will have to spend like probably 70 million on the center backs, right? So for me, it's just not feasible to bring Mark Guay, Maddison, Gonçalves, and center back, right? It's not possible, and a goalkeeper, because we have to fix the goalie situation too, right? So for me, again, if I had to choose between Maddison and Gonçalves, it kind of depends on the manager. But I subscribe to what you said, David, that Gonçalves is more exciting for me. I know Maddison is a quality player. I hope that I made that like point across, right? But Gonçalves is more exciting for me, and also I think he's a lot more versatile, right? So he would fill more gaps, because I don't think Maddison is a particularly like exciting winger, but he is amazing at cam, right? Whereas Gonçalves is amazing at cam, and he also can play a deeper role or one of the winger roles, right?
Spot on. For me, I actually was thinking about this last night. For me, it's got to be about the mentality. And if what I'm hearing about James Maddison is correct, I would rather steer clear and go, if we're getting the one, go and get a Pedro Gonçalves. But look, big up Football Heritage TV. That is AKA Sava, aka Savalicious is what he's known as over there. So, guys, please do actually get over and check out the channel. If you don't know, get to know. I'm on there every single Sunday. Well, most Sundays. Some Sundays I've got stuff going on, but I'm over there most Sundays, guys. So please get over there. Smash.
It looks like he put something out about James Madison too. I'm seeing. I just looked over there, Sava. So everybody, speaking of James Madison, check him out today. Hopefully it pops up on your feed. Pick yourself up.
I'll have to go and give that a watch to see if he disagrees and give me a talking point on Sunday with Sava. But big up, Sava. Hopefully you're keeping well, and hopefully you have enjoyed your time away as well. Living lavish, this guy, away on holidays. Anytime I speak to him, he's always away. Big up, Sava. Absolutely love it, my man. And then we've got Paul G. But people actually do check out Sava's channel. Like I said, smash the subscribe, and you see me over there most Sundays. Paul G says, big up, lads. Are you giving us any chance of top 4 or ruling us out entirely? Look, I'll kick this off, and then we'll throw it to Michael. Look, for me, look, I think we've missed a chance already. I know the win against Brighton was good. Win against Bournemouth, we're still in the race. However, I think away at Newcastle, you got to look at our away form this year. It's been fucking atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. I think going up to Newcastle, dodgy. You seen what happened to Arsenal there last year. Going away to Liverpool at Anfield. I know we got a point there at the back end of last season. Don't usually do well up there. And then you've got Man United at home, who, look, usually beat us as well. So I think, me personally, I think we might do Bournemouth tomorrow and put ourselves in the mix. But I think the damage was done against the likes of Southampton, Wolves, games that we should have won, picked up them points, and maybe you could afford a slip-up going into these next 3 games. Now, I don't think you can. And when I look at what I'm seeing on the pitch, do I see the togetherness to pull us a result at the likes of St. James's Park or Anfield? I just don't. So for me, when I look at it, I think we'll die trying, but I don't think we'll make it, Paul. But where are you at, Michael?
Yeah, so for me, we are in the mix, in my opinion. It's like, I don't want to be a hopeless, romantic or whatever, right? It's just that I don't think Newcastle is catchable for us. I think they are on amazing form. They are absolutely flying right now. And also, if you look at their fixtures, it's not the easiest fixture list, but most of the hard games they play at St. James's Park, right? And it's been an absolute fortress for them. There are hardly any games that they lose there or even draw there, right? They shithouse wins, they shithouse draws, or they of course win deservedly, right? So for me, that's an issue, that we have to play them at St. James's Park. If we somehow get a result there, which I don't believe we can, then maybe we can catch Newcastle, right? But for me, the target should be Manchester United. I think they will get hurt with those injuries that they got. I think it's absolutely the drop off from Martinez and Varane to Maguire and Lindelof, people. I know
his tendons last night, Michael.
Sorry again.
It looked like Martinez done his tendons last night with the way
he
pulled up.
Exactly. They lifted him off the pitch in absolute pain, right? I don't think he's coming back this season. No. And Varane has repeatedly damaged his ACLs, right? And he looked as if something similar happened to him. I'm not saying he will be out for the rest of the season, but I think he might miss a couple of games, right? And now I know that Casemiro will be back, and probably Rashford will be back for the game against us. So I'm not saying Man United will be easy or whatever, right? But you have to admit that it is a 6-pointer. And actually, if you look at our home form, I think we have 11 wins and 4 losses or something like that. So it's actually quite respectable, in my opinion. So for me, Manchester United is the target to catch, right? We are 3 points behind them, with them having a game in hand. But I think they will have some slip-ups from now, within the next few fixtures. They will lose or draw a game that they aren't supposed to lose or draw, in my opinion. So it's all in our hands, in my opinion, to catch them. And then, then it's a battle, right? If we get slapped by United at our own ground, it's nothing else than our own fault, right? So I'm not ruling us out, but and of course I will be cheering the team on, but it's I would lie if I said that I really care that much about it, right? The only reason I would care about top 4 is, one thing is money, for our club, right? Whether you like it or not, the amount of money that we spent is based on which European competition we participate in. And the second thing is bringing maybe a slightly better manager than like, with all due respect, I think Kompany did an amazing job at Burnley, right? But if you want Pochettino or Nagelsmann, then perhaps you might need that, Champions League pool, right? You might need some guarantees. Listen, like, Nagelsmann, here is the money. We are in the Champions League. Go for it, baby. Like, make us proud again or whatever, right? So that's the only reason why I would care about top four. But listen, it's so hard to.
Do you want European football in general, though, Michael? Would you be okay with one? Would you be okay with one game a week, or do you need that midweek game? Because Dave, even I heard him just the other day kind of say that he needs that midweek game.
Yesterday, I said it to Sean. I'm bored midweek. It's too long. I need a game.
Absolutely, I need European.
So you'll be okay if it's against NS Mura or whatever. Like, you don't care.
Yeah, listen. The fact is that even if you are playing in Europa League, right? Because let's be honest, we probably won't end up 7th. I just don't think there is enough quality to, like, jump over us. I think even if one team behind us catches us, I don't think like more than one will. So I think the worst we will do this season is Europa League. And if you look at it, like, if you go through groups where you play lesser teams, then, like, starting from knockout rounds, you actually play some, like, quite good and enjoyable teams, right? Seville, Manchester United, Sporting, teams that we are kind of played, like, in Champions League groups this season, right? So I don't mind. I want to watch Tottenham play in Europe. It's another chance for a trophy. It will always matter for me. It's just whether we as a club, like, take this competition seriously, but it's another chance for a trophy for me. So I will always want us to play in European competition, right?
Same here.
Quickly, because I know you want to move on to
I have one more
next
question from Sava as well. So go quickly. But big up, Paul. First of all, really appreciate the support. Let us know where you're at with the top four. Do you believe or not? But Michael, go on, make your point, and then I have one question from Sava to throw at you.
Yeah, so, like, one thing I also wanted to speak about was the midfielders, and because you asked which ones would you like to see moved on, and also let me prefix that with saying it all depends on the manager and system that we play. But I think, like, listen, Ndombele, no, he can fuck off. Lo Celso can fuck off, and Winks can fuck off. I don't want to see those guys play for us ever again. It's whether it was like mentality issues, level of play issues. I don't want to see all three of those guys. So it leaves us with Bentancur, Bissouma, Højbjerg, Sar, and Skip, right, as our midfielders. And I think the issue with moving on midfielders this summer is that Bentancur, like, he won't play in September. It will probably be like November or something, right?
Yeah.
Because it is said that he will be out for like 7 months or something mad.
And it might take a while for him to get back into the real flow of things as well. Yeah, good point.
Exactly. So I think we won't move any midfielders during summer, and we will probably bring in a Cam, and I think it's healthy, right? Because I always tend to say that for like the most basic, like, healthy squad for me is 2 players per position, right? So that you can rotate a player in each position, right? So assuming we played a midfield 3, right, with a Cam and double pivot or whatever, if we bring in Maddison or Goncalves, it makes 6 players. So for me, it's perfect, right? I know maybe that Maddison and Goncalves won't have a good backup in that Cam role, but still, it is possible to put Bentancur or Bissouma as a more, like, advanced player up there. So I don't think we'll move on. But I was thinking about it, and if we got good money, I wouldn't necessarily be that much against moving on Højbjerg. And I love the guy. I think he's absolutely, like, amazing. Like,
what's your price? What's your price?
And listen, I think if Newcastle came and gave us like 50 million or 60 million, I wouldn't.
Would you go lower than that? Let's say 40 million comes in. Would you take it?
Like, 30 is definitely too low. 40 maybe, depending on, like, certain circumstances, whether we have backups lined up or whatever, right? But I think, like, if I don't know, if a team came and gave us 50, like, there was a rumor last summer. I don't know if you remember that Real Madrid were apparently like considering like bringing him in. I don't think it will happen because they have like Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and all those guys, right? But if that offer came, 50 million from Real or Bayern or PSG or I don't know, Liverpool even, right? Because Liverpool would be looking for midfielders, then I would seriously consider it. But again, it's not that I want him to move on. I would just consider it, right?
All right.
Yeah.
I like your answer. Brave answer.
Yeah. And then just quickly before we let you go, Michael, Sava says Maddison will be the best signing we have made for over a decade. Do you agree?
It's hard to answer because I have like hindsight of knowing how well Sonny, for example, turned out to be, right?
I think what he means, Michael, is like
the most prestigious, statement prestigious signing. In that case, I absolutely agree. I think it would be like a real, like, listen, we are serious about it, right? We are bringing in one of the best center attacking mids in the league, right? And that would be like an amazing signing. But like I still put Sonny as one of our best signings like in the last decade. Like we bought him for 30 million from Leverkusen and look how amazing he has been. I know this season has been shit, but people tend to forget quickly about the previous seasons. And I think he's been amazing in the previous seasons. And this season he's been like average, but still I think it's like amazing value for money that we got from him.
I'm with you there. So, if I were to give you something to think about, maybe also to give some, some strength to Sava's point here, Michael, do you feel like maybe a signing like Maddison would sort of be a guy that could secure the future of Sonny, secure the future of Harry Kane, as the guy that like means Spurs kind of mean business, right? Is a ready-made player, like you says right there, a statement sort of signing that could also attract the right managers, that could attract also and show that Spurs are going and headed in a serious direction as well as the right direction. So it's also maybe some other things behind the scenes that the James Maddison signing could be, right? It could be the one that sort of seals things together.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think like I think I've made myself clear in the fact that I don't think we are far off a proper 11, like a proper, quality 11 that can fight for great things, right? That can fight for trophies or whatever. Because I think we are lacking right now a goalkeeper, one like quality center back to calm Romero's head, right? And I think we are lacking a center attacking mid. And then if you look at it, right, let's imagine Son, Kane, Kulusevski, Maddison behind them, Højbjerg and Bissouma as a double pivot before like Bentancur comes back, Udogie, Porro, Romero, I don't know, like a left-sided center back. Let's for the sake of it, let's just say Bastoni, right? I know we probably won't bring him in, but for the sake of it, let's say Bastoni and like Raya in the goal, right? David Raya from Brentford, which I'm a huge fan of.
Okay.
And I think that 11 is one of like better 11s in the league. I know we aren't like Man City level, but I still think it's a quality 11. So, and Maddison would be that, like here, look at it. We are serious, right? We are actually serious about building this team. So I in that like think I completely agree with Sava. That would be the best signing in terms of like showing that we are serious as a club, right?
Nice. Well, Michael, we've still got a few more guests to get through, but I would love to get a score prediction from you, if that's all right. And how do you think the game's going to go tomorrow?
Oh yeah, we are playing the game tomorrow. I forgot.
Top 4 race is still on, technically.
Yeah, I think we will win against Bournemouth. It's just that, listen, like no games will be like a confident walk in the park game. I think we will win something like 3-1 in my opinion, but the scoreline won't reflect how the game went. I think it will be a nerve-wracking, stressful game. We will probably score first, then concede, and then score 2 goals like late in the second half, in my opinion. But yeah, that's what I'm
another
going
defensive
for. I think
clown class like it was last time. Yeah, I could see that. Well, Great call, Michael. Did you get your score? Just give me some goal scorers, and then I'll finally let you go.
Oh, definitely Kane. Like my fantasy Premier League is absolutely loving like having Kane. I bought him the first game and haven't moved him for a second.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely proud to have him in the team. And so I think it will be 2 from Kane and 1 from Son. I know it's not like a original answer or whatever, right? But I think it will be a solid game from those 2, and I think they will score.
I like it, Michael. Well, great call as always, my friend, and I'm glad that we got to get a good, sort of chat out of you, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully Monday.
Pleasure speaking with you guys.
All right. Best of luck with Uni and your weekend as
well.
well.
Bye, David.
See you soon, Michael. See you soon.
See you. Bye.
All right, everybody. Big up Michael in the chat there. And Football Heritage or Sava, just text me, my man. It should be in the
I saw
yeah.
it.
Okay. Yeah, text either one of us. But yeah, it should also be in the community section, but just text us. That's easier for you, my man. And there's actually only a few left, actually, I think, in the queue. So we can get you as the closer. Actually, Sava, get you as the closer.
I just want to apologize. I just want to apologize to Michael because I know twice there turned off the camera. Just for people that maybe don't know, my sister was took into hospital last night, so that's why I'm getting the phone calls and all. So we just wait and see what the story is. But look, let's keep moving. Sorry, if you're listening, Michael, I do apologize for that, my man.
No need, Dave. No need. All right, let's get on Rufus.
Hey, how you doing?
Nice to
Big
meet
up,
us.
Rufus.
I live on my balcony like 7 months of the year, so like literally I'm just always out here. It's beautiful. So
have you got
I
room
should
for one
write
more?
with Sean instead of Tottenham walks. I should do balcony talks.
Get Dave over there for a balcony talk, a nice podcast or something. You and Dave, that'd be nice. I'd watch that. Yeah.
Love
I mean, how do you follow Dan? I mean, like for stats, statistics, possible transfers. I can't top anything that Dan just did. Top guy. So
Michael. You mean Michael?
Oh yeah, Michael. Sorry,
Michael. Yeah. Look, Michael, look, Rufus. You're your own man. We all love hearing what your point of views are. You can definitely talk. Don't say you can't, my man. But look, Michael, you got his name stuck in my head now, Rufus. Look, Rufus, where do you want to start on this? We've got so much to talk about. You've got tomorrow's game, the manager situation.
Let's go in with the manager situation because nobody's covered that yet.
Well, right. So where do you want to go with it? So look, Mike. Reports were suggesting that Nagelsmann has turned us down, but reports coming out today sort of conflicting that. Then you've got reports saying that Vincent Kompany is the front runner now. Rufus, I kind of came up with a point with Sean last night. I spent so much time thinking there, on my own and stuff. But when you look at the Premier League, right, you've got Guardiola sitting in second. You've got a student of Guardiola in Arteta sitting first for Arsenal. You've got another student from Guardiola in Ten Hag, who was under him at Bayern Munich, sitting fourth in the league as well. When you look at it, it's like anyone that sort of branches off Guardiola, they're doing well, and they form three, or they form, Guardiola's school forms 3 of the top 4 in the Premier League. On that basis, would someone like Vincent Kompany be the right route for Tottenham to go down, looking at what's happened with Arsenal and Man United?
I was really cold on the idea at first. I must say, when I first saw a company come up as a name, I was really cold on the idea, super cold. But like, I've actually quite warmed up to it, not just because of what you just said, but more like we've got a big youth coming through. White, Divine, we got Hill, Messi, we got. And we got a little core of experienced players. Maybe, just maybe, it would suit somebody like him and suit Daniel Levy, because he can start then bringing that youth through and start cashing in on it, because like he's seeing he's put a lot of investment in youth, but he's not getting a lot of cash back on it at the moment. I mean, it's been pretty terrible. So could that be the reason? Another reason why we're going down the company route, because it's just sort of like the company route.
Do you know what? When I look at it, I think that it's legitimate to have someone like Kompany in the name for these jobs. You got to look at what he's done at Burnley, right? They were known as a long ball sort of team, get it up to the front, get second balls and play off that. And he's completely changed their style of play. You know, no one ever envisaged Burnley playing the way they're playing under Vincent Kompany. And, you know, look, the Championship is a relentless league. You know, you're talking about 40-odd games down there, and he's got them promotion with 7 games to go. I think, if I'm correct in saying this is the quickest promotion ever. You know, and look at the style of brand of football he's got them playing, and it's been all season long. All season long. When we're looking at Tottenham, Rufus, we want to switch to a back four, right? Everyone wants to get to a back four again. And I think when you look at Kompany, and I believe Levy has been impressed with what he's done at Burnley, I think if I am going to take a punt on a manager, or Tottenham are going to take a punt, I'd rather be on someone like a Kompany than anybody else, if you get what I mean.
It feels a bit like that moment after AVB when we went for Poch and everybody was a bit cold at first, our Southampton manager. And then they looked at the football he was playing and what he was doing, and it moved on from there, didn't it? Do you know what I mean? But if we get a Vincent Kompany, we got to get behind the project. And it's a bit like Michael was saying, like, we've got a really good chance that we're going to get in the Premier League Champions League again, because like United suffered some injuries. We're looking in a good position. If we're not playing great,
it's about being better than either Newcastle or Man United, it seems like, right? Because it looks like with the way that Brighton have dropped points, less likely that they might crack into the top 4. I mean, they might get very close, but they're kind of, you know, they themselves are kind of have taken a bit of a hit. Fulham are kind of out of it. Liverpool are out of it. Chelsea are out of it. I forget what the other team is. That I think it's Aston Villa, right? It's the other team that's sort of kind of in and around. That's challenging.
A few wins, isn't they?
Yeah, but and that's the benefit of 1 game a week. You know, very sneaky, right? What you do look at it for Spurs to just get top 4, it's not going to be easy at all. And God, I mean, we are not a good team at this moment in time. But all it takes is just to be better than one of those guys. Either be better than Newcastle or be better than Man United for the rest of the season.
I just don't want to be a terrible team in the Champions League, you know? Do you know what I mean?
It would be the most unspectacular finish inside the top 4 for a team. It really would be. It'd be quite impressive.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe that's Kompany could be a front runner, but maybe if we do get 4th, then Nagelsmann would sort of like change places with him.
I think if it is Champions League, the manager maybe changes a bit. I think if it is a Europa League campaign, or even if we finish outside of Europe entirely, which I don't think is really going to happen, but let's say we finish in the Europa League, it feels like Kompany, Ange Postecoglou, some of these kind of guys who are a bit more kind of the long-term project managers might be actually the more likely options.
No, if we do something like Shawnee Boy always goes on about, the big reset, then
factory restart.
Includes selling Kane and Son,
see if it works.
Factory reset. That's what he is.
That includes selling Son and Kane, though, Rufus. Are you prepared to lose both?
I think we've lost him already. Just with the debacle with Conte, you know.
I mean,
you said it yourself, Dave. When I joined the channel way back when I found this channel when we got Conte as manager, and I've been like pretty much a member ever since. And you said back then, look, if Levy fucks up Conte, he's got to go, you know. And the man's made the Teflon, like he's still there, you know. And it's if you're going to go for a factory reset, bring the youth through and stuff like that. It's Kompany, but then you've got Champions League and you're looking at the money. It's sort of like you've either got to bite the bullet and go for a reset. Nagelsmann, I just think, is going to just sort of like delay the inevitable for another couple of years. So I'm actually leaning a bit towards Kompany at the moment. To be really controversial.
I don't have any skinny jeans in my wardrobe. Yeah, so I don't have any skinny jeans in my wardrobe. So, you know, I'm a tracksuit sort of wearer guy. So I can't have Nagelsmann in charge because I'd have to go and buy 6 different pairs and 6 different colours for my trip. So can't have that.
Do you think Vincent Kompany could be the man that could calm Romero just that tiny bit?
Whoa, interesting point.
I'll tell you.
Well, not even that though, but he could be a very good guy for somebody like Romero, right? A very successful center back in the Premier League himself could get through to somebody like Romero. And the one thing I would say maybe about Kompany, considering he's young enough, I believe he's played right against Eric Dyer and Davies and Sanchez and these guys. So I feel like he really knows how bad they are. So I feel like if any manager could come in and actually not be fooled by sort of the clean slate that we continue to give these sort of draws players, Company having played against these guys, I feel like has a very good chance of getting rid of them.
Jack, I'm putting you in football prison. Company, Dyer, and Davies should never be mentioned in the same breath or in the same sentence.
Well, hopefully the only reason you're mentioning is because he's getting rid of them.
You're going to defensive prison. That's where you're going, my man. That's right.
Dave on that one.
Look, what I will say with Romero, this is just my opinion. Look, I could be 100% wrong, right? I think if he had defenders beside him that he trusts, I don't think he takes as many yellows as he does. That's where I think you'll see Romero calm down. I think Romero's the type now. He's like, if this guy gets by me, they're in on goal. I have to take him out. I think if you had someone that Romero trusts, that he feel could read the game, get across, make them challenges and not just drop off the way Dyer does, I think you see a bit more of a calmer Romero. I think you see a more decisive Romero where you're like, okay, I'll let this one go. I won't let this one go. That's my feeling on the situation. That's how I think you might get Romero to calm down. I think right now he just feels he's the only competent defender there, and if someone gets by him, they're going to score. So that's why he picks up the cards he does.
Yeah, and I think that might be why I've sort of also lent towards Company at the moment in my head, because at least as a defender, and our worst bit on the pitch at the moment is defending.
Yeah.
I mean, we're atrocious. Can Nagelsmann sort that out?
I don't know if anyone can at this stage. I think Jose and Conte tried, very defensive managers themselves, very successful with defensive teams and defensive structures. It'd be hard to imagine that a guy that maybe is a bit more on the, kind of attack first mentality would be able to fix them. If
we've got to get centre back this summer, haven't we?
Money's the only way you're going to fix that. Money. We've seen it with Romero coming in. He's our best defender. You grab one or two more like that, you'll see completely different. Look, I don't want to hear anybody tell me that, bring in a manager, Company can show him the tricks of the trade. Doesn't matter what you show Eric Dyer. When the game comes, everything goes out his head and he just goes blank. He's not good enough. No manager's going to improve these. I've been hearing it from Mourinho, Nuno, Conte. They're going to improve them. They're fucking not. Just get rid of them and spend them. No manager's going to improve these guys. Oh no, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general, Rufus.
I wasn't saying for a minute the company should sort Dia and stuff like that out. Not for a minute. I think that's
no, I know that. I'm just saying. I just don't want to hear anybody, fall into that trap. Because we've done it time and time again. We just got to accept they're not good enough.
I think my point was, I think he's this kind of guy that could build us a good defence.
Oh yeah. I would say. Look,
more so than Nagelsmann.
He knows anything. He knows the defence, right?
But the fans are going to have to get behind it as a project, aren't they? It's not. Yeah. It's going back to like when we first got Poch. I mean, I'm not saying. I'd love to have Poch back, but it's not happening, so I'm not even thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? It's just sort of, if it was going to happen, it would have happened, is what my opinion is,
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Like, it's just like going to a disco and meeting a girl and she blows you off for some other guy and then he blows her off and then you come back, do you know what I mean? And it's sort of like, it's just not the same, is it? So I think that one's done. I think that was done. So
I would have said Poch would be in already, Rufus. I think he would have been. He was hanging around. They had the international break. They could have got it done. Him and Levy are friends. They used to holiday together in the Swiss Alps and stuff like that. So I think that would have been the obvious one. The fact that it's not done. I would hedge my bets.
If Levy did it, then it's the ultimate admission that he got it wrong in public. And I just don't think that's going to happen. So
the best admission you're going to get is that statement we got after the January transfer window where they said the recruitment was wrong. I think that's the only admission you're going to get out of this club, Rufus.
Yeah. It's it's a terrible state of affairs, but we just could hope it gets better. We can't be any worse at the moment, can it?
It can't. It can't get any more torturous either. You know, if you want to punish your kids, make them watch Spurs on the weekend. That's what I
did
say.
that to Jacob. He's England and he's England and Tottenham. He quite often says to me, "Dad, what did you do to me?"
Guarantee you behaved all week, though. Guarantee you behaved all week. That's for sure. But look, Rufus, we better keep this cracking on and keep it moving, my man. Any last points you want to touch on?
Yeah, anything we didn't get to let you say?
No, I'm quite happy. I just wanted to come on, have a quick chat, see how life was and stuff like that. And, you know,
I can tell you, it's not as good as yours when that balcony, that view, the fresh air, nowhere near as good as yours, Rufus.
Yeah, sometimes life's good, you know.
Well, tell Rufus, or Rufus, tell Jacob I said hello.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah.
I will do. We'll have to find a way to swap it, get you two to swap numbers, and then he can give you a WhatsApp or something.
I love that call that he
He's
came
getting
on.
a tattoo at the moment, so he wasn't there today.
Miss that guy.
Nice. What's it of?
A leopard this time. Oh, but he likes
Nice.
the trashy looking ones. So he had a shrimp. The last one was a shrimp. I have no idea why anybody would want a fucking shrimp. But
I don't either. I don't even like eating them, to be honest with you. But Rufus, big yourself up, my man, and we'll speak again soon.
I'll go for a win on Saturday. It'll be ugly. It won't be nice, but it'll be a win.
I like
Score
it.
prediction?
Score prediction, yeah. Goal scorers.
2-1.
2-1. I'll take that. I'll take that. Just get a win, and let's head into these 3 fixtures and see if Spurs can sort it out from there. But Rufus, big yourself up. You enjoy that sunshine, my man, and hopefully we get the win tomorrow. Come on, Spurs.
Right then, dude.
See
Come
you,
on,
Rufus.
you Spurs.
See you, brother.
Big up, Rufus.
I'm jealous
Great
of
call.
Rufus. You know, he's got the sun, he's got the balcony. You know, the guy's living life. All he needs now is a beer, and he's absolutely set.
Schönes Leben.
Love that.
Schönes Leben. The regular member for 17 months, Flat Cap member here, Dave, says, big games coming up. Let's push for top 4. Come on, you Spurs. Big up the regular, my man. And believe me, I'm not really. We were very strong believers of top 4 last season. It's not the magical dust this season for us. I just really don't count us in for it. I mean, like I said, if you were to be optimistic, you would say all we have to do is just be better than either Man United or Newcastle. But I'll be honest, we certainly don't look like we're better than them, and I don't expect us to be. But who knows? Miracles can happen in the games that we have maybe coming up against them. All we have to do is just be able to pick up points in this Bournemouth game, somehow pick up points against them. But it's a tall order, and I don't really expect it going our way. But regular, we'll be here through it. We'll be here through the pain. We'll be here through the pain with you, my friend.
Stop trying to give me something to hang on to, you know, that miracles can happen, because you know me, I'll hang on to that for dear life. You know, fingertips, I'll hang on to that. But look, honestly, I don't think it's going to happen this season. Let's wait and see. And Sava says Dyer has a lot of promise with the right manager. But look, he is in the back end. We'll let him come on and explain himself. We've just got a few more guests. We've got Dan Davenport, we've got Lewis, KPV, we've got Sava and Phil. So some really good guests coming your way. So stay tuned. And look, I'll let Sava come on and explain that comment, because I completely disagree with it. Me and Sava disagreeing. You never thought that would happen. It always happens. I love it. It's good crack. Good crack. But look, let's keep this moving. Let's get on the next guest. And I believe it is the one and only Dan Davenport. Dan, how are you keeping, my man?
Fine, thank you.
Good to see you, Dan.
Yeah.
So look, you look at the manager situation, Dan. I haven't had a chance to speak to you about it. Who do you want in the door?
De Zerbi.
Ooh.
Why?
What'd you make of his audition?
Well, I think Stellini fell out with him, saying that De Zerbi inherited the Brighton squad from Graham Parser.
Yeah. I think Stellini was trying to be really nice to him, though, and De Zerbi, I guess, just read it the wrong way, and he read the title. It looked like De Zerbi didn't read the whole article.
That's quite funny.
It was funny.
Yeah, I think it was lost in translation for De Zerbi. He got hung up over a whole load of nothing. I was listening to Alistair Gold on his Golden Guest podcast talking about it. He said it was surreal. What do you think someone like De Zerbi can bring to Tottenham, though, Dan? What is about De Zerbi that you want, that you like, that you think he can bring to Tottenham?
He's got Brighton to the FA Cup semi-finals.
Yeah, and he's playing some nice brand of football. Do Do you like would you be okay with another emotional manager? Because he is an emotional manager, as you can tell, Dan. He'd be a bit like Antonio Conte.
He speaks very, very good English, and he's got results for Brighton.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
True. Very, very true. So look, we know who you want in as manager now, Dan. So let's see if De Zerbi is the choice. But look, what do you make of some of the other topics that we've brought up today? You know, what actually, you know, we were speaking about Vincent Kompany. You don't want Kompany in the door?
What about Luis Enrique? I think he's available as well.
Spanish surfer.
I don't know whether you agree with this, Dan, or not. I think Luis Enrique is the type of guy you can get if you're in Champions League. I think if we're not in Champions League, I think that sort of cuts him off the short list because I don't think he'd pick Tottenham.
What about Brendan Rodgers?
Do you know what? Me and Sean actually we went into a debate on this yesterday. It wasn't even on the topics, but it was fascinating. And he was actually saying to me that Pete from Savage Show is a good guy, by the way. You know, he was all for Brendan Rodgers, and I was saying to Sean, I was like, I can understand it in a way. Look, don't get me wrong. Look, if Rodgers comes in, I'll back the next manager regardless. I'll always give them a chance. I think Rodgers is a safe bet. You know, I think when you look at the job he's done with Swansea, good football, done well with them. He's done a decent job, a good job at Liverpool. Just missed out on the league. And he's done an all right job with Leicester. I think where with the whole Leicester situation, it became stale. He went early and called for new players, and the owner couldn't give him that. So I think, you know, somewhere along the line, it sort of got lost this season. But I don't think Brendan Rodgers is a bad manager. I think if you look at all the managers on the short list, I think he's probably the best bet in terms of a steady Eddie.
Yeah. And he's worked under Jose Mourinho as well.
Yeah, he has. He worked under him at Chelsea. You're spot on there. Look, I'm not advocating for Rodgers to get the job. I'd rather someone else. But if Rodgers came in, I could understand it because I do think he'll be able to steady the shit. You know, you're going to get good football from Brendan Rodgers. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there, Dan.
What do you make of the fact, Dan, that Brendan Rodgers, though, has taken his team, right? It feels like quite far with the likes of Leicester. They were in top 4, even pushing pretty far up the table, and then all of a sudden it collapsed with the likes of Liverpool. He had a league title in his hands. All of a sudden it collapsed. Are you maybe a bit worried that Brendan Rodgers sort of bottles it at times?
A little bit.
Yeah, me too. That's because I feel like he plays nice football, but it seems like it all falls apart at maybe the worst possible moments for him. We've even seen it happen where we beat them. What was it, from a 2-1 up, from a 2-1 down position? Steven Bergwijn, yeah, and I don't know, something about Rodgers, right, where it can be really good, but then at certain moments it feels like it's fallen apart for him at the worst opportune times.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's sort of that Neely man. And look, I don't envision Rodgers coming in and getting us over the line and winning the trophy. I don't see that happening, but I do think maybe he might be able to steady the shit. But I would rather get in someone that more excites me a bit more, if I'm being brutally honest. But Dan, what do you think on the Danjuma situation? You know, he's played 23 minutes of Premier League football this season. What's going on there?
I don't know.
Do you think it could be what they're seeing in the training pitch, that maybe they don't think he's good enough, or is it that we just, you know, like Sean says, there's a meritocracy. No one ever drops Kane or a Son to give anyone else ever a chance.
Yeah, that's true as well.
I feel like Danjuma, though, Dan, is maybe a victim of just being seen as sort of just a lone player, right? That a lot of people might just not think of him as a guy that's here for the long haul, who's here for the long term. And so they're kind of just putting him a bit far down the pecking order. Do you feel like maybe someone like Brian Hill should have been kept around instead of Danjuma? Yeah.
Yes.
I think so too. I think if you're going to give the guy 23 minutes, why wouldn't you just keep Hill, even because you've invested the money into him, right? I agree with that. But Dan, any other talking points that maybe we haven't asked you that you might want to bring up, my man?
I remember a goalkeeper that played for Ireland called Pat Bonner.
Oh yeah, Packy Bonner. Yeah. Great goalkeeper.
At USA '94 World Cup final.
Yeah. You know, and he was goalkeeping coach at Ireland for quite some time as well. You know, especially in and around Shay Given, when Shay Given was playing in for us. Very good goalkeeper, by the way. Very good goalkeeper.
And do you know that Roy Keane is a Tottenham fan?
Oh, I knew that. Don't worry about that, my man. I definitely knew that. He grew up supporting Tottenham. He says now on Sky and all, I have a soft spot for Tottenham, but that's why he's got a soft spot, because they were his boyhood club. But obviously, with what we went on to do at United, he sort of has an affiliation there. But don't worry about that. The two Keanes, the great Keanes, both of them, my man, both of them.
Have you seen Bazunu? Speaking of Irish goalkeepers, have you seen Bazunu at Southampton, Dan?
Yes, I have.
What do you think of him?
I think he's a very good keeper.
Yeah, me too. I like that he's good with his feet and he's good in possession. I think he'd be good.
I also think that Dean Henderson could be a good goalkeeper for someone like Spurs.
Okay. What did you make, though, of his celebration against us after the penalty save? He waved his cap in the air.
Yeah.
I didn't like that particularly. I thought that was, it's kind of like Dave with the James Madison celebration. I'm a bit fickle, or I'm a bit sort of stubborn. I'll always remember it.
Yeah.
I think you're on mute, Dave. Sorry.
I said, why not? Why not? But look, Dan, give us your score prediction for tomorrow, buddy.
2-0.
Who's scoring?
I could use that.
Hopefully Kane will double.
Love that. Stop. You're feeding into my ego. You got to stop it, Dan. But Dan, you got to give us a big come on, you Spurs, my man.
Come on, you Spurs.
Love
that. Good man, Dan. Good man. Good call. Good call, Dan.
Great call, Dan. I will see you again soon. Hopefully we get the win for you tomorrow, my man.
Okay.
Hopefully we see you Monday, Dan. See you, my man.
Big yourself up. Big yourself up, Dan. Absolute legend. Love that guy. Such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. You heard it here first. Win 2-0. Thank Dan Davenport. Jacko, I do have to, I do have to bounce.
No worries. No worries.
So, look, everyone, Jack's going to continue this on. Jack's going to have great chats with the likes of KPV, Lewis, Sava, and Phil. So do not worry. Sava, put in the private chat if you want to help Jack host for the last, for the last few guests, my man, if that's something you'd like to do. Unfortunately, I do have to go. It's my niece's birthday and her mother is in hospital. So I have to go down and get her and bring her to see her mother. So hopefully people can understand. I'll see you all back here for the pre-match build-up and watch along tomorrow. Hopefully all things going well. So guys, come on, you Spurs. And everyone, I'll see you again soon.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring in Sava here, and maybe Sava will just have a nice little mini sort of chat with you, and then we'll bring on KPV, and then you could, help me out for the rest of the show. Very kind of you, my friend.
Hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah, doing okay. It's been a bit of I tried to keep it controversial with the title at top. I wanted to maybe, start some controversy with selling Kane and Son so I could get David going. But, it's been a nice chill Friday thus far. But maybe you and I could have a little, short little intro and a little chat, and then we'll get through the rest of the guests. But anything that's been on your mind today in particular? It seems like Dyer has.
No, that's just to wind up Dave. No, Eric Dyer has outlasted many players and managers at this football club. And for anyone in the chat that thought I was being serious, I genuinely believe if he's given the new contract that we should all just pack up and go home, right? And just quit the club, put it in administration, you know what I mean? Just turn it into a boxing venue or something. And and we'll all go home. But yeah, happy to, if you want to bring people in, I'm happy to help you do that. And we can have a chat at the end if you want to do that.
Sure. Yeah, we can do it at the end. That's a good way to do it. That works for me. Let's bring in the mighty KPV then. KPV, you ready?
Yeah, that's cool, mate. We can still do that as well.
Okay, maybe not KPV. Sound like you just wanted to come on, KPV. If you can still hear me, I'll bring you in just a sec. Big up, Jacob. Hopefully you're keeping well, my friend, this morning, especially for you. I believe it's the nice early morning, and maybe I'll still give KPV 30 more seconds there. KPV, if you can still hear me, I'm trying to bring you on because, like you said in the chat, you're next, my friend. You're absolutely right. You're next in the queue. Adrian Chia says Brighton got two great goalkeepers in Steele and Sanchez. Funny thing, Sava, is that we were rumored with that Robert Sanchez guy, right? But then the Steele fella has sort of been put ahead of him, and it makes me then sort of feel like, is Sanchez really worth it if this Steele guy is being preferred by De Zerbi? And I feel like Sanchez too was the reason everybody likes him is because he's very good with his feet. But I think is it Jordan Steele or something? I don't know his name, but
is it Luke? I know there was a Luke.
He was in the Sunderland doc. That's how I remember him from, actually. He's in the Sunderland doc. But I think if he's better than Sanchez with his feet, why would we go after Sanchez then?
I think the difficulty is with fans. We're all guilty of this, right? Is because we just want something that isn't what we've got. We start looking at other goalies that probably we just see bits of rather than seeing all the flaws. So if you speak to a lot of fans, they're probably going to tell you, oh, well, why do you want to get rid of Lloris? I saw him on the match of the day and he was brilliant. He made loads of saves. But because we watch Hugo Lloris week in, week out for 90 minutes, we know all of his flaws, what are his weaknesses. So it could be a bit of that. But yeah, we definitely do need a keeper, don't we, Jack? We definitely need one for the long term. You're on mute.
My bad. I'm on mute. For me, the goalkeepers, I've been a bit stubborn this season. I've called out Hugo aplenty. I think at this day and age, with how teams sort of press you all the way to the goalkeeper, you need to have your goalkeeper have a semblance of an idea of where he's going to play. He needs to know who he's going to play to before he receives it. The way Hugo is, it seems like he does like one step at a time, where it's like trap the ball, look up, no pass there already. Then it's just then he just kind of brain farts or sort of it just seems to melt in that position. And I also feel bad for him because plenty of times I've seen us give it back to him when there's no reason to whatsoever. And then he still kind of goes through that sort of kind of mental block of what to do with it. And nowadays, I think teams are taking advantage of goalkeepers like that. It's sort of sad to see because he was a great goalkeeper and was a great shot stopper, but nowadays they will take advantage of you if you're not great with your feet. So for me, whatever goalkeeper we go after this summer, that's actually really high up there on the priority list for me. It's a weird thing to say, but I feel like the goalkeeping position has sort of changed, like how fullbacks have changed. Like fullbacks can't just be sort of like hardworking defenders helping out the center backs. They have to have a good cross. They have to be able to take on their man. They have to be able to stretch teams, be very, kind of adapt tactically and everything. And it's sort of now the same with goalkeepers, I think, Sava. It's a lot being asked.
Football goes in cycles, doesn't it? And the in thing at the moment, it's the same with centre backs. It used to be, are you good at stopping the ball going in the net? Can you defend? Now it's, how good are you with the ball at your feet? Can you, if a defender now isn't like Rio Ferdinand, who was brilliant at bringing the ball out. Oh, well, he's average. He's just a good defender, but he's not good at football. And you're like, we could do with some of them. We could do with some of those defenders that just defend. But you're spot on. I think now it's become a lot more technical. It's more system-based. And you do need centre-backs, full-backs, and it starts with a goalkeeper all comfortable with the ball at their feet. And when you look at the two best teams in the country, in Arsenal and City, that's what they're excellent at. That's what their goalkeepers are good at. All their defenders are comfortable on the ball. That's what we need.
Definitely. And he says I have Brighton keepers in my FPL week in, week out. Adrian, it's yet again been a season for me where I probably went for a solid 2 months, I would say, in the FPL. Then just 1 week, just completely forgot about it. Months went by, realized I forgot about it again, and it's just been an untouched team pretty much, my FPL. So if I'm in any way sitting mid-table, I would say that says a lot about the other people because I have not touched that team in a long time, and there should be no reason I should not be at the bottom. And so if I check in, if I'm still mid-table, even high up there, I'd say a lot about the others. But I would say the mighty Mitrovic and Ivan Toney had done quite well for me this season. But Mitrovic's red card definitely probably, I imagine, hasn't done too well. But that being said, I haven't touched my lineup in weeks, so Mitrovic is probably still stand strong.
I don't think I've edited mine from week 3. It's like, if I've got any points, it will be. I couldn't even tell you what my 11 was. I know Grealish was in there, and that was about it.
It's like a New Year's resolution. It's like you tell yourself every season, this will be the year. This will be the year I get back in shape. Yeah. This will be the year I do it, but never is. Big up, Adrian. Really appreciate it. Just want to welcome in King Hoddle. Good to see you, King Hoddle. Big up, Jacob. Big up, Terry Wright. And Chris, no worries at all, my friend, especially after the games against Nottingham Forest. I completely had lost my voice screaming at the likes of Eric Dyer and Moonhead, so I get where you're coming from. But let's bring on the next guest. KPV, if you can still hear me, I'm bringing on Lewis next. There he is. Now he shows his face. KPV, all of a sudden, there he is.
Hello. I was just speaking to a friend of mine.
That's all good, KPV. You going to the pub this weekend to see the Bournemouth game? Where are you watching it? You going to the game?
I haven't got a ticket, unfortunately, so I can't watch because the internet's still not working. So still not good. So I guess I'll have to just try and use a friend's internet to watch it on my phone.
Smart man,
Yeah,
KPV.
friends on my phone. But I'll watch the highlights. But I say 5-0 because I said to Ben and Sim, I gave up making predictions for the Premier League season. I'll take the Gary Lineker route like he did before the Champions League final. That was when we beat Ajax in Amsterdam. He said he'd given up making predictions in this season Champions League. So you're going to hear Bob spill on Saturday. The comment of the week goes to KPV. That's going to be 2 weeks in a row, 2 weekends in a row. So watch tomorrow night, people.
I think Dave and I made the first prediction that we would probably lose this season, and then we ended up winning. So it seems a lot of things just do the opposite, I guess, of what you think. You're right.
Yeah, but Bournemouth at home, we always score 5 past them. Kane always scores against them. And Son, we always seem to smack them, but they've only beaten us once. That was, we reached the Champions League final that season, and Son and Foyth got sent off. 2 sending offs. We bring on Foyth off the bench and he just gets sent off. Son got sent off 3 times, actually. Bournemouth, the next season, Everton and Chelsea. One rescinded, the other one wasn't. So, lucky bastards. But
it was a defensive disaster class last time against Bournemouth, KPV. Could that happen again?
We beat them at theirs. We were 2-0 down, but the comeback kings, as people call us, Ben and Sim, the comeback kings, 3-2. That's our favourite scoreline. People must remember we've been winning that scoreline for a long time. But no goals conceded, please. I want a clean sheet. It's that simple. No goals conceded. Lloris was actually in goal for the game then, but he's been conceding. But I'd keep Forster in goal, not Lloris. He ain't a good captain. I'd give it to Kane or Højbjerg.
I feel like Kane, what do you think, Sava? I feel like Kane has proven that he's not a perfect human being, turns out, when it comes to the captaincy. He's not maybe the greatest captain.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've seen a few debates on this in the last couple of days, actually. Who should be Spurs captain and stuff. And I just genuinely believe, I don't think there's a captain there. If I'm
Single
honest,
candidate that you would put
forward.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we can say, well, look, Son's captain of Korea and South Korea, Kane's captain of England, and Lloris is captain of France, but I still don't look at them as leaders of men, and I feel that might be a lot as to why, I'm not blaming them, but a lot as to why we get away. Some of our players get away with what they get away with, because if you had a John Terry captain, a Tony Adams, a Roy Keane, a Vincent Kompany, if you had these sort of leaders, they are pulling you up. They are pinning you against the wall in the changing room and going, what is that? But at the moment, it feels like with our captains tend to come out, and Lloris and Kane have done this for years, and Dyer comes out on the TV and does this as well. And every time a bad result, they're sort of wheeled in front of the camera and they give go back to the training ground. We'll work on things. We know what we need to improve. We'll come back stronger. And, fans are sitting there going, oh, all right. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Let's get back on that training ground. So, yeah, I don't know.
The accountability culture stems from the captain, doesn't it? And
sure,
it's hard to know whether it's actually, I don't misspoke there. I don't think it is hard to know. I think we have found out that Kane and perhaps others aren't really good people for that accountability that we really lack. And also some people have said too, Sava, that Højbjerg, despite being a guy that seems to sort of represent, somebody that's willing to call out others, call out himself, he's not exactly somebody like a Kane and Son, though, who can always lead by example, because maybe the reason Kane and Son are captains is because their own just sheer brilliance is sort of leading by example. But like you said, when it comes to actually their own verbal leadership, they don't really hit the marks in that regard.
Yeah, I think if you look at, for me, the reason, listen, I think when you look at a player like Højbjerg, he has got that captain material about him. However, for me, and this might be quite controversial and taking it down a different thread, for me, this is the sort of bloke that shouldn't be a nailed on starter week in, week out, moving forward. I don't think his ability goes, I think his passion and his drive is more powerful than his ability, if that makes sense. he celebrates tackles, things like that, which is fine. That's great. We love to see that passion. But I wouldn't want him, if I'm Harry Kane, I don't think I'm looking at Højbjerg and going, yeah, that's my leader. That's just my opinion, right? I don't really rate
I'm with you.
Højbjerg.
And maybe we'll bring in KPV here. KPV, a lot of midfielders we got to get rid of this summer. Too many of the same kind, a lot of people say. Would you get rid of Big PEH? Would you maybe make me and Ellie cry this summer?
I'm not getting rid of the Viking. I'm sorry. Like, no chance.
There's not a price, like a 40 million, 50 million comes in, you wouldn't take it?
No, I would not take it. He's not for sale at any price. Like, we got him from Southampton, and we let Carl Walker-Peters go, who I think's been their best player for the last 3 years since he joined Southampton. And Carl Walker-Peters, we got Højbjerg in exchange for Carl Walker-Peters, who basically another Carl Walker, basically. And yeah, so 2 Carl Walkers, but Walker and Walker-Peters, but I would not
too many Højbjergs in the team, though, KPV. Some people are saying that. Too many guys that are just kind of similar to each other. Basuma, Bentancur,
no chance,
Skip.
No chance, Admin. I'm not selling Højbjerg. Get over it. Piss off.
Oh, okay. Be kind now, KPV. Be kind to him. It's just his opinion, but
yeah.
I'm with you, KPV. I'm a stubborn Højbjerg defender. I'm quite ignorant when it comes to Højbjerg. I'm a big sucker when it comes to the pointing. I'm a big sucker when it comes to the passion on display. I love the Viking mentality. But like I said, KPV, maybe he's done a good job for us. He's taken us very far, right? He was brought in under Jose to be that sort of water carrier in the team that we needed. And maybe now it's time for Højbjerg to move on.
No chance. I'm sorry. Ellie will not like it. I don't think anyone's going to like him going. And Zinedine Salzburg, nah, no chance. Sorry, 24Z, you can do one as well, mate. He ain't going nowhere. I would never sell him, man. I
think Ellie is honestly loving this.
Can I say
this defense?
I think KPV. Listen, I think. Listen, I'm not saying sell Højbjerg. I think Højbjerg. Every squad needs a Højbjerg, right? I think every squad needs one. What I don't think is that top teams, if you want to be a top team, don't have Højbjerg starting week in, week out. He's got a role to play. I think he should definitely be one of 4 centre mids that you have at your club. But for me, I think if you want to get better, especially if we bring in a manager that wants to get the ball down and play, I don't think he's got the legs for it or the technical ability. I genuinely think if you're only going to play a 2-man midfield, both guys need to have that engine and both need to be very good on the ball. And I don't think Højbjerg, every now and then he's got a good pass, but there's a difference between spotting a pass and your passing naturally being good, i.e.
You don't think he breaks the lines every now and again, Sava? I think he doesn't do it all the time, but he does break the lines and surprises some people. But maybe that's where it is, right? Is the whole what I just said, surprises some people.
Yeah.
This is maybe the key word.
I think what it is, it's consistency. I think Højbjerg, as a player, will give you a 6 or 7 every week. I think that, right? So for me, I think if he's one of 4, I've got no problem with a Højbjerg being in the squad. But if I look at all the teams in the league, if you look at all of the teams in the league, that are good, and all the teams in the last 5-10 years that win things and that play the best football, they don't have a Højbjerg in their team. They don't, and that's, I know that sounds awful, but Man City are never going to stick a Højbjerg because he's a plodder.
No.
Sorry to say it. He for me should be captaining.
An Aston Villa,
Villa, maybe, But even then, I'm not picking Højbjerg over Aston Villa centre mids. If I look at Jacob Ramsey, if I look at John McGinn, I'll take these players over Højbjerg all day long.
Interesting.
That's just me, and I just hope Ellie's not watching because she'll be WhatsApping me with some abuse.
She'll be loving this defense from KPV though, so it sort of balances out, I think, right? KPV's fighting the good fight, isn't he? But last question maybe on Højbjerg, KPV though. Do you feel like he is maybe an all defensive him? And this is something I'll admit, KPV, as much as I love him. Do you think he's looking a bit leggy right now? This stage of the season, he's not looking as he's not getting around the pitch as much as he would.
Yeah, I think he's a bit tired. If tired, I think. But maybe he can come good like he was at the start of the season. He was scoring goals and assisting. Like, I think he's got 5 goals and 4 assists. Is that right? Has anyone checked the stats? Anyone
I'll
on
have a
chat?
look.
Yeah.
I'll have a look for you.
There you are,
Cheers.
KPV. He's having a better goal scoring and a season. I would say he has improved each and every season. Whether that's enough improvement for people is another thing, but I do think he's taken his game to a different level each season. Whether
He's
that's
got 4
like
goals
huge
and 4
increments,
assists, Jack, in the
4
league.
goals, 4 assists.
League, just league. Carl, I don't disagree with that. I think he's added that, which is good. But for me, I think when we're looking at centre mids that aren't attacking midfielders, I need more than a few goals from them. I don't mean I need 10 goals from them. I need more from their overall game.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for me, he's the ultimate squad player. So, you know, when you were growing up and we played for Saturday and Sunday league teams, right? And every year at the awards you'd have like best player, top goal scorer, and then you'd have an award that was called the Clubman, right? That every player loved because they worked hard or they did something. He's that guy. He's that guy. But for me, if we get in a manager that wants to get the ball down and play, and I mean play properly, like Arsenal play, like City play, he's not it for me.
Yeah.
My humble opinion.
Yeah. Like when Mourinho bought him, like I think Ralph Hasenhüttl said that Højbjerg didn't want to be the captain of Southampton anymore because I think he wasn't getting much game time then. Like he was the captain when we lost to them on New Year's Day when Liverpool won the league and Kane and Sissoko got injured, and I think he's beaten us at least a few times. But he won the Champions League at Bayern and he played for Schalke. I didn't realise. I didn't know he played for Schalke, like Champions League winner. So we basically got a Champions League winner too, but different. Perisic and Højbjerg have won it, but different eras. So,
I'd love to know, KPV, I'd love to know how many games in that Champions League win that he was playing. Yeah, I'd love to know. Should we have a look? Let's have a look.
You're sitting on plenty of padded seats. Let's just say that. Yeah.
International. I mean, if we're talking about the 14-15 season, I think
12-13. Yeah,
12-13.
Yeah, he won it there. Yeah.
My app's not going.
Good experience for the Viking, though, wasn't it? And he was learning under Guardiola at KPV. I would say, do you? This has been a lovely Højbjerg chat. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you love Højbjerg, hate Højbjerg, it's been Højbjerg centric today. What do you think, though, KPV? I think Højbjerg actually, maybe while he lacks in a lot of these departments, I think the reason he gets picked so much by managers is because he's very good at probably receiving the instructions, really good at receiving probably the tactics, and he's a disciplined player. He has probably the right attitude. He's a bit of a, people have called him teacher's pet, bit of a parched type player, right? That plenty of people are. And do you think that's the case, KPV? Maybe he's a bit of a teacher's pet kind of guy?
They're basically learning it from my friends, a teacher's pet. Like I call them a teacher's pet. So basically they're learning it from me, but I don't think so. I don't know. He's a bit of a jabroni though. Like he's lagging a bit, but he said, I think last season, he doesn't celebrate when we equalise, he only celebrates when we win, and he's absolutely right. But we've lost at home a few times this season, 4 games, and I think he scored in a few of them. The game against Liverpool when we lost 3-1 during the pandemic, he scored a thunderbolt, and no goalkeeper on this planet would have got anywhere near that. I couldn't have saved it. No one could have. The goal he scored was just out of this world. But fortunately, it doesn't beat Wanyama's against Liverpool at Anfield. So sorry, kiddo, but yours is second. And to this day, Danny Rose scored that amazing goal against Arsenal in 2010. And
KPV, what about the goal? Do you remember the goal Eric Edman scored against Liverpool?
Was that when we beat them? I believe we beat them 2-1. Sheringham. It was Teddy Sheringham as well. Yeah.
I'll be honest. If it was Sheringham, I've got visions of Sheringham and Klinsmann both scoring worldies at Anfield when we knocked them out the cup, I think.
Yeah,
like
that
94. But
Yeah.
I remember Eric Edmond firing an absolute rocket into the top corner a few years back. That's the only memory I've got of Eric Edmond in a Spurs shirt. But yeah.
Today's the day of Gaza's free kick, isn't it?
Yeah, against the scum, like in 91. And Brian Daigle posted on Twitter, like, Gaza gets in this team. Sava, what do you say?
Sorry, say that again. Gaza what?
Brian Daigle said on Twitter, like, Gaza gets in this team. Hashtag Gaza, like, Gaza in this team right now.
Gaza gets in this Spurs team now.
I think
yeah, that's what I saw on Twitter.
What's less than crawl, or like, you know, he crawls into this team, not even walks into the team.
Gaza would be the best player in the league by a country mile. Gaza would be the best player in world football if he was playing in this era right now. He was that good. He was sensational. Wow. Yeah, I remember when I first started going, he wasn't in the team yet. I started going in, I think my first game I went to was 1985. And then Gaza sort of, I believe, was 89. Someone will tell me if I'm wrong. 89, I believe, 88. Terry Venables bought him. And I'd never seen anything like it. And I've not seen a player in a Spurs shirt as good since.
True. Like, yeah, he, like another Gaza, though, Gazaniga, there are two Gaz, but there's only one. That's Gascoigne. So why is Gazaniga called Gaza? I don't know why. Like, Super Ollie T, I know he's a big fan of him. He's on loan in Spain. So there's only one Gaz, and that's Gascoigne, people. So I know people don't want the guy back, but yeah, he saved a penalty against Watford when Liverpool won the title. But that was, I think he made 14 saves at Anfield as well when we lost 2-1. But 14 saves, unstoppable. Like, I think he's better than Fraser Forster, though. But it was Southampton as well. Then,
Carl, can I ask you a question? Do you think that that Forster can count himself maybe a little bit unlucky that he was dropped as soon as Lloris was fit? Because I personally don't think. I think his first game in maybe against Leicester, there was a couple of goals where he was slow to get down to. But I thought after that, I don't think he did anything wrong. To be honest, I thought he was good.
Yeah, like I agree. Yeah, like I don't think. Yeah, I agree with that. Like I think he should have been in goal for the Everton game. Like, why would you bring back an injured captain who just retired from international football and then Stellini decides to pick him? Like, maybe you should not bring him back until at least the, say, Brentford game or something. Forster staying for the last 5 or 6 games, then Brentford, like, bring Lloris back. But I don't understand why they bring Lloris back in. Like, he did not save Keane's goal. Like, shocking. Defense, shocking. Like, yeah, Kane scored against Everton like he always does, but I think Forster should have at least stayed in. But a bit of a bad decision from Stellini. I know none of us make the lineup, but he does. But yeah, I think bad decision from Stellini picking Hugo.
Yeah, I'm with you too, KPB, on that. I think it's going to be a decision that could haunt us. I'm surprised it didn't even haunt us against Brighton, a team that presses very high up. I thought there was a big chance Hugo had a huge blunder in him, but maybe we got away with it. KPB, maybe last question from myself, and we still have a few more guests to get through, but tomorrow, how do you see it going? You said 5-0. You went for the Gary Lineker scoreline, is that right?
Yeah, I went for the Gary Lineker route, saying I'd given up making predictions this season. Like, yeah, as I said last weekend, like, Ben Sim asked me for my prediction against Bournemouth, and I just said I wanted to win, not a prediction. But yeah, I didn't say. But 2-1. But lucky VR, like Brighton were robbed. Like, yeah, it was handball by McAllister. Like, Will
Did we
brought
use up all our VAR luck in one game, do you think, KPV? Did we use it all up in one game? I think it'd be nice. It's like if you scored 6 goals, right? It's like, come on, we could have used those goals in a different game, using up all your goals in one
Yeah,
game.
he probably used that up. Yeah, probably used our VR look. But tomorrow, it better not happen again. There better not be any bad decisions made against us, because we've seen some go against us, like Sporting Lisbon, for instance. Like, it come off a Sporting Lisbon player, then Kane scores the winner. Like,
I
that's
still remember that referee's face after the game, KPV. The referee had like that troll face on.
Yeah, someone's got it as the profile picture on Twitter, I think I've seen. But Højbjerg said he wasn't going to shake the referee's hand, so big up, kid. And we were robbed. So the referee, and he was refereeing at the World Cup between Germany and Spain. So I don't want to see that referee again, because he still sucks. So if he's refereeing the Brentford game, then he doesn't know what's coming.
Dutch referee. I don't think he'll be.
Say
I don't think he'll be
say
allowed.
it as it is. Say it as it is, KBV.
He's getting done, blood.
Welcome.
And manager choice, company for me, because I know he don't play the style of football he's done it at Burnley. Like, good job. And Daniel Levy's actually been impressed with him. Like, a friend of mine said he would take company. Like, apparently, Pep said to him, take the Spurs job for 3 years, then, because I'm leaving for 3 years. So take the Spurs job and see how he does. Like,
are you okay with that, KPV? Him using us as a leapfrog?
Leapfrog. I'd like him to come, because I think when we played him, we knocked him out of the Champions League. As I said, he was captain for City. So I wouldn't mind him coming, because I'd like him to come. He's done well, and he said he's ready to listen if an offer is made. So, Levy, get your work done, mate. Pick up the phone and start getting company in, kid, because we are good. So do your job, kid, and yeah.
I've heard that Daniel Levy's in the green room at the back, waiting to have his say. He's coming on to. He's coming on to tell us that he's picking up the phone to Vince and company.
I love this. So do your job, Daniel, and just stop lying to us, because you said on the documentary you want to see trophies. Another lie, mate. So just get out of our club. None of us want him there. But I've said it all along, we ain't winning anything while he's there. So what? Right. But anyway, I hope for the win tomorrow. And Newcastle away.
KPV. Give me that
send off. But we're going to slap Bournemouth tomorrow. I can feel it. Kane always scores. I know Son has scored. Like, the last time I went to this game was actually 2019. It was the end of November 2019. 3-2 win. Sissoko scored the winner. Dele Alli got 2. That was the last time I went. But fortunately, I can't, as I haven't got a ticket. So I'm hoping to go to the home game against United in just 2 weeks, because their players out. That just gives us a slight chance. I know we always lose to them, but 6-1, Man U fans. Just remember, 6-1. You got done. Kane, Son, you couldn't handle them. So tomorrow,
they even let Serge Aurier score against them. I mean, that's
6-1. I think he's been the best player at Forest this season, I think. So Aurier scored, and we ripped his contract, and but tomorrow Bournemouth are getting slapped, and Adam Smith, I know you're there, mate, because you're getting done. Sorry, pal, but miss you already, but you're getting done tomorrow. So enjoy getting relegated again and stop coming up, because you always get done when we play it. So enjoy losing, and so 5-0. Like Kane, Kane, Son, and hopefully Kulu, because I need Kulu to score, because I have him in my FPL team. So hopefully he can get on a score sheet, and I think he's been a great player since we signed him. But as people call him Juventus reject, like, none of that. That's starting to piss me off. So win tomorrow, then bring on Newcastle away. Our record is actually good there. 4 wins, The last time we lost,
This
I
will be
know
the
we
biggest
lost.
test in a while. It's a whole different Newcastle this time around.
Yeah,
KPV. It's a
they've
different type
got-
of Newcastle.
They've got Kieran Trippier, who I think's been the best right back. Like Trent can't defend, and so Kieran Trippier. Sorry, pal, but you're getting done by your former teammate Harry Clauser. You know, the West Ham. So good luck, but just as long as you can't score, then. But I miss
All right,
him anyway.
KPV.
I'm off anyway. So next, please. I'm off, but 5-0 anyway. And as always, Levy sucks.
There you are, and KPV in. Get him in there. See you soon, my man. Great call,
See you, man.
KPV. Oh, I think he was saying bye to Sava. I cut him off there a little bit too early, but I mean, he says it as it is, doesn't he?
Yeah. Listen, that ref sucks. Gaza would get in this team. And
you know who he didn't call out and call it a kiddo and to do their job. I mean, he kept everybody in account. If anybody knows, you wouldn't want KPV as your boss because he'll be keeping you in check. That's for sure. Big yourself up, KPV. Everybody wish him well in the chat. I absolutely love that guy. He puts a smile on my face, especially before the weekend. But let's get on the next guest. I believe it's Lewis here. Young Lewis.
Hello again, Jack. Nice to see you back
ya.
on these streams.
How are we?
I'm good, but I'm not that good for the Bournemouth result.
Spurs-wise, you're not good?
No. Look.
Well, you want to talk about Bournemouth then?
Yeah. I mean, look, they've had a bad season, all right? But I've done my research while waiting that most of the equalisers that we've got against the Southampton and the Everton are late ones. They're all late equalisers because we tend to sit back because we've got the win. We go with the 3-2 and then it happens to be the 93rd minute with the Ward-Prowse penalty, and then there you go. And there's 3-3 to Southampton. Another big 3 points lost. But I've got a lot to say.
Is that down to tactics, do you think, Lewis? Is that down to the psychology or the mentality of the players? What do you think that's down to, us conceding so late in the games?
I mean, look, probably because the players are tired, I reckon, and the tactics, it's a bit of both, because the players are tired, they just want to go home. I don't blame them, because, look, they've struggled, and top 4 is literally really, really close to not being top 4. It's being top 5. But I've got so many managers on mind, but there's 3 of them I can think of.
You look too young to have all the worries that you're giving off. I feel like you look like somebody who's been married 3 times, drinking away his problems. You're too young for that. You should be smiling, man. You haven't got a mortgage to pay, or
oh yeah, it gets more stressful from here, Lewis.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Smile before you get too old and get all your worry lines, man.
Who's I don't even know your manager, Sava, so I'm gonna get it from both of you. Lewis first, maybe. You said your manager short list? Who's on your short list? You were saying you were bringing up managers. Who can relieve your pain?
Well, no one at the moment, but we're looking at a bit of a Poch. But I've seen on the news, I'm going for Poch because he's our number 1. Really, he got us to the Champions League final, and we can go again with him, but I don't think he'll have the same mentality, really, though, that he had with the 2019. But I've looked on the news as well that Vincent Kompany, that he got asked to join Tottenham. He said no, because I'm doing really well with Burnley, promoted to the Premier League. I don't want to join Tottenham. But that's what I've heard, but unless it's changed, and then, I would like Vincent Kompany back in the first time, but I reckon he's going to struggle if he does come into this a lot.
What are your thoughts on Kompany, Sava?
Yeah, do you know what? Look, there's pros and cons for absolutely everyone, right? But look, the way I see it now is, if I look at the last 20 years, the managers that have done the best, and I use the term success loosely, the managers that have had the most success have been managers that weren't the Contes, they weren't the Joses. Yeah, they weren't those types of managers. If we're looking at Harry Redknapp, before us, Harry Redknapp was always a good manager, but the likes of what we're talking about, the likes of Portsmouth and West Ham, and we're not talking about him winning leagues with Real Madrid and AC Milan and Man United and stuff. So for me, I think that the next manager that comes in, it needs to be a company type. I think for me, it needs to be a builder. It needs to be someone that's going that way in their trajectory, in their managerial career. Now, this is where it becomes difficult because I think, look, we all know we need some form of a reset, whatever that looks like. And I'm not going to get into that debate, but some people will say that's the owners as well. Other people just say it's the director of football and the manager, whatever. We need a plan. We need a structure. We need an ethos. We need to know what is Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah. I want to know that when I tune in to watch a game, win, lose or draw, I know what I'm going to see from Spurs. They're going to try and play football. For that to work, you need a manager now that's going to come in and be given time. Yeah. It's going to be given 4 or 5 years and that will want young, hungry players that won't be wanting, like, for example, when we're talking about, Conte wants Bastoni and Conte wants Lautaro Martinez. And it's like, that's great, but we need a manager that doesn't need that. We need a manager that wants to build something, but the fans are going to need patience. And this is the thing. We're not very good at that, are we? All of us. We're not very good with patience. But I think if the club come out and say, right, we'll use company, for example. If they came out and said, right, we've got a Michael Carrick or a company or whoever, this is our plan, this is our vision. And what we want them to do is start off building an ethos as to what we want the club to be for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So that, like you said, even if Vincent Kompany came in and then went to City in a few years, like people are saying, cool, we now know what we are, and the next manager can be of the same ilk. Yeah. So I'm not worried about managers using us as a stepping stone. I just think whoever comes in needs to get us an identity, and that's not going to happen overnight. So what I think is really important we don't do, sorry for the rant, what I think is really important we don't do is forget where we all stand with Conte in, Conte out. Forget where we all stood with Poch in, Poch out, Jose in, Jose out. That's done.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's not get the new manager come in, and if everything isn't amazing after 3, 4, 5 months, we don't go, oh, well, we sacked Conte for this. Yeah. Or we should have kept Poch 5 years ago. Let the new manager come in, give him time. Yeah. I don't care who goes. I don't care. Son, Kane, Lloris, Højbjerg, I don't care anymore. Just build a young, hungry team that can close down, that have passion, that have energy. And if Kompany can bring that, sure. Look what he's done at Burnley overnight. He turned them from a long ball team to one of them. They're very attractive to watch with lots of young players as well. Like I think he's done brilliantly. So I wouldn't be against it. I'm not saying he's my first choice, but I wouldn't be upset by it.
I really liked a lot of what you had to say there. Lewis, what are your thoughts on any of that?
I mean, look, I agree to what he just said, but I haven't got a very good memory, but I've just lost of what he said, but I think I've got a bit of it. But
do you think a manager can change the whole culture and direction of a club? And this is what Sava maybe reminded me of. I heard Jamie Carragher bring this up recently, that he was saying if you can't change the ownership, then maybe a manager can often be the one that can at least point you in the right direction, get you kind of a step in the right direction towards wherever you might think you need to be, or towards the future. Really, a manager can often point you towards the right way. And could a Kompany, a Poch, someone like that sort of point this whole club in the right direction? Because we know it's unlikely that Daniel Levy will be able to point us in the right direction, but maybe the manager can point the club in the right direction, the new one.
I mean, yeah, but it's just some people have hype, like they're so excited for new managers to come in. It's just going to be the same old Tottenham. We're just going to keep on drawing games and just doing the same old Tottenham with the same old mistakes. It's going to happen again. So I'm not really excited to see a new manager come in, because I know exactly what's going to happen on that the first day as soon as that manager comes in. But any manager will do right now. Any good manager, better than Conte. I mean, look, Conte actually got us to top 4, but then, well, I'll say that, but then he got sacked, or I think he left, I don't know, one of them two. But
do you think the next manager, Lewis that comes in here will be a manager that, let's say, will have to accept maybe that somebody like a Kane or a Sonny might not be here? Like, does the next manager that comes in, like I think Sava said this, right? Like the futures of certain players might not be completely, sealed and shut. So the next manager comes in here, they kind of almost have to get their hands dirty, right? They have to know that they're in here for a tough project.
Look, it's going to be tough for whatever manager comes in here. They're going to have to make really, really tough decisions. I mean, look, there's so many players you have to sell. Like, I'm not even going to get into that Eric Dyer thing. Like last time I was on it, I kept him going for about 5 minutes with the Eric Dyer thing. He's just got to go. If I was the manager, he's just got to go straight away.
I think Company's the most likely one to get rid of him because he's actually played against that fool. So it feels like he would know about, how bad Eric Dyer is because he's played on the same football pitch as him.
Yeah, look, he's terrible. Like, I don't think anyone likes him. But it's just that if there was a new manager that came in, they need to sort this defence out, get rid of Sanchez because he has barely played any minutes.
Can I ask you a question, Lewis?
Yeah, go on.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that so in the Poch days, when we had two attacking fullbacks in Danny Rose and Cole Walker, but still played a back four, we used to have that sort of pivot in midfield that would allow either Moussa Dembele or Wanyama to sort of sit in front of them and let Walker and Rose go. I don't think we're too far off that if we wanted that type again. If you look at Adoji, when he's not crashing cars on the left side next year, Porro on the right, and then Romero with another centre-half, then with a top defensive midfielder in that. I think the nucleus is there. When you look at Basuma, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Son, Kane, I don't think we're too far away from that. But I didn't think we were ever going to see that under a Antonio Conte style manager, but we could with a more progressive forward thinking manager. Do you think that would work?
I mean, yeah, like it's very similar to what we've got now with, like you were saying, with the Wanyama and all that. It's very similar. I think they do the same thing, but I think it will work, because. Well, I hope it does anyway. Because look, it's just this team I've got. This team.
DTW is saying you're speaking like you're already 50 years old. Spurs have really ground you down, Lewis.
How old are you, Lewis? How old are you?
I'm 14 and I'm already stressing.
14. Mate, listen, wait till... listen, I've had 40 years of this. I'm sure there's people in the chat that have had... more than me. It doesn't get any easier, Lewis. just stick in there with it. It's never boring, but it's always stressful and funny. So just stick with it, mate. And hopefully, hopefully by the time you're 18, we might have won something. You never know.
Well, probably by the time I'm 30, it's probably going to be a bit of a silverware. But look, I was like, now I start to understand why my dad turns the TV off at half time when we're drawing. I start to understand the amount of aggression that happens.
I feel like your dad probably, I imagine, was just turning off the TV in the first half, turning it back on in the second, because he just knew that's when the actual game was going to start happening. Lewis, though, let's talk quickly about Bournemouth. Maybe a question I haven't asked anybody. Do you feel like Bournemouth actually could surprise us potentially tomorrow? I don't know what Sava's thoughts are on this, but despite them being Bournemouth, I think Gary O'Neill's not done a bad job over there. I think he's kind of, made Scott Parker look a little bit silly, the guy who was complaining sort of incessantly about that squad. Gary O'Neill, if he was able to get this Bournemouth team to survive, I find that to be quite impressive, actually, because I think he has the worst squad probably on paper in the whole Premier League. And he's taken some scalps this season. So what do you think, Lewis? Could we be surprised tomorrow by Bournemouth, or do you think it could be an easy win? Or do you see it being an ugly game like the last few games have?
I mean, look, any team that we go against can surprise us. The way that we're playing at the moment is absolutely terrible. And I am surprised at the moment that we are not top 10. At the bottom 10. because the way that we've been playing with these draws against relegation people, it's, I mean, I'm speechless with the way that we've been playing, and Bournemouth have managed to get out of the relegation zone somehow. But I reckon that it's going to be really tough, that game, and I reckon unfortunately it's going to be a 2-2 draw again with a late equaliser by Bournemouth. Like everyone's saying, like 6-0, 10-0. It's not going to happen. It's just going to be a boring game in the first half and a sneaky goal by Son or Kane in the second half.
You don't think you'll see another Sonny Worldy in like the first 10 minutes or something?
I don't think they're very rare. I think they do happen quite often, but depends the way that Stellini puts it. Or
we all know what he's doing, Lewis.
Stellini puts it.
We all know the 11. We all know the tactics. He's not going to try anything. We all know that.
He's still
not even a Kulusevski dropping for Danjuma. Not even a Danjuma. Yeah, I know. Just
I would. Do you know what? I'd turn around to him and say, Kulu's not been playing well. Right? Go on there and show us why you deserve a chance.
Let me push back just quickly, Sava, because I think Kulu has been. It's weird because I think he's getting to the right areas. It's like he's doing everything right, doing all the positive things. He's skinning 3-4 guys. And then it's like that final pass, that final cross, that final ball has been lacking. And that's where it's like a bit frustrating. It's like you're getting a bit blue balled every time when you come up against, this team with Kulusevski. I don't know. It just feels like he's doing all the right things to get into the right areas for me, Lewis, but he's not exactly having the final punch like he normally would last season, right? He normally would play that filthy pass in behind, or he would curl it in top corner, right? And I haven't seen him do that recently. So would you maybe drop him?
I mean, yeah, I would. Look, Kulusevski, you just know he's not been himself for the past couple of games. And I reckon that Danjuma does need to get some minutes in. He's only got, about 28 minutes, I reckon, playing time or something like that. I'm not sure, but that's what I heard from a different channel. But look, it's hard. I reckon Danjuma, I really hope Danjuma does start because he needs to have his chances. Kulusevski just needs to get better, really. But yeah, Danjuma, if he can show us that he plays well, I reckon he'll start in the next couple of matches as well. If he does good against Bournemouth, then I reckon he will start against the other matches as well. But I mean, look, Kulusevski will probably be on as a substitute if anything happens. But Kulusevski does need to start like getting grip and start actually doing stuff for this team and getting good balls into the box, and then let Kane do his job. And then, but yeah, I mean, look, Kulusevski is just, it's not good.
I think he'll turn it around. I think it's also we're dealing with a bit of a honeymoon period with him when the way he came in, hit the ground running. He basically is one of the best players in the Premier League. When he came into the team, he was having better numbers than even Bukayo Saka, right? That was even the sort of Spurs talking point in that second half of the season, was he was playing even better than Saka was. And so when you're looking at those kind of numbers, you then compare it to now, you're going to be left a bit disappointed. But it's also the case with young players. Young players will fall in and out of, form and consistency. It's not like the sort of Salahs and Kanes who can just keep hitting that level consistently. It's just what it is, I think, with the young guys. But Mia W says here, Lewis, before I let you go, she says, sorry, Mia, keep your heads up, Lewis. Many years of pain ahead. Any coping mechanisms that you've already developed, Lewis? Nice burger and chips or something after the game, or what do you do? I like to have, a pizza, go get a taco or something like that. Usually for me, it's like some nice food after a tough loss.
I mean, look, I'm so glad I don't go to these games, because the reason why I don't go to these games is because I know we're going to draw and lose, and it'll be a waste of money, really, though, isn't it? But look, it'll be so much easier.
I hope you're not paying for the games already, Lewis.
Oh, no, not yet. But look, if I have kids, I won't take them to this Tottenham stadium. I'll get them to support something like Wrexham or something like that. But Wrexham are doing better than Tottenham at the moment.
Jeez.
I mean, look, I want Levy to go. He's not letting the right players in. He's just, I've said this so many times, and I'm saying it again. He's doing it for the money. He just wants to be rich, buy his own house, and he's just saving up, really. But saving up for what?
To be fair, I would love to also be saving up for my own house, but I do know what you mean. Wait, what do you think Adrian Chia says, though? I think people are saying it's going to get worse, Lewis. He says kids got to lighten up. We still have Winks and company coming back. So, Lewis, it's getting worse, my friend. You know, Tongi's making his arrival, probably post-Serie A, Scudetto. You have the likes of Gio Lo Celso coming back. A lot of the useless players that I imagine you're not big fans of are going to be joining us in the summer. So it's not getting much better from here on out, Lewis. Time to bail or time to stick with us?
Look, Winks, no, he's not coming back. I'm going to protest outside the stadium if he comes back. I'm going to say no, he's not coming back. But I know it might sound a bit weird, but I would have Eric Lamela back for Son. I would have him back. I know it seems a bit weird, but look, I've been watching the matches that I think he plays for Seville or something like that. I can't pronounce the team. But
yeah, he does.
I watched that match yesterday against Manchester United, and look, Eric Lamela played well that match. Mm-hmm. And it'll be nice if he comes back to Tottenham, and hopefully he can sort it out. But I don't think he will. But there's so many people I would like. The whole team can swipe out, and then we just start again back to when the actual team actually started. But this whole Premier League table was just flipped upside down. I wasn't expecting this whole Premier League table with Liverpool doing really bad and so many teams.
Lamela definitely got his 2-footed tackles back in at Old Trafford, that's for sure. He definitely probably missed those. Well, Lewis, it seems like people are preparing you for the worst. They're telling you it's not getting much better from here on out. Really appreciate the support, Adrian, and appreciate you trying to keep his head up here. And then also somebody say, Lewis, it sounds like you're a Sky Sport or a Sky Sports pundit already at your age, and I can't blame you. You have it seems like you've already been through plenty of pain. Seems like you already have some decent coping mechanisms, Lewis, because you're handling it sort of well from what it has been a pretty dismal season. But any final words from yourself before I let you go?
I don't know how I'm coping with this, but I hope next season's going to be. I don't know how you are either. But I hope next season's going to be a lot better. I really do, because I'm not suffering like this again. The amount of time I've no idea how many 90 minutes I've wasted watching Tottenham concede in the last dying seconds of the game. But with you adults, it's going to be. I feel your pain.
There'll be plenty more 90 minutes wasted. Don't you worry, Lewis. There'll be plenty more.
Yeah, that's why I just go off the app and get notifications of apps instead of watching it on TV, because it's just, there's no point.
And that's the Spurs superpower, by the way, is to hope that it'll be better next season. I think that's our innate superpower. At least that's mine. I always seem that deludedly, the happy clapper in myself always does that. So it's my favorite.
Every summer we find this renewed optimism that this is going to be a better year. And then
within the worst season of
within
all
about
time,
5 games of the season, we're all going, oh, nothing's changed at this club, has it? You know,
so, and we could get relegated, and honestly, half of us will still say, "I could see a cup run." You know, we'll all say it. We'll all say it. Yeah.
Oh. You know, it will be good if we get relegated. Then I know it sounds really horrible, but all the players will go, and then Levy will go out. Enoch will leave, and then. It's the best. Is it the best way to put it? I'm not sure, but look.
I hate to break it to you, Lewis. This is the problem: is we're all frustrated because we want to win things, but we're not that bad. Like, do you know what I mean? We're not a relegation threatened team, are we? That's the problem. So we're never going to go down. I think it's just that getting that it's that jump, isn't it, from being a team that's always 4th, 5th, 6th to how do we now join the big boys and challenge? And unfortunately, there's more and more clubs now. Like the money in football now compared to when I was growing up watching football is ridiculous. And there's so many clubs to leapfrog. And now Newcastle have thrown their hat in the ring now as well. They're gonna go from strength to strength. Chelsea, City, Man United look like they're about to be bought out by somebody that's going to plow billions of pounds in. So it's just getting more and more difficult. But hey, it will get better one day. We'll win a cup soon. I promise you, we'll win a cup.
Well, that is a 4% chance at the moment, but I mean,
hold on to that chance, Lewis. That will be, like I said, that'll be your crux. But can I get a score prediction for tomorrow before I let you go, my man? And maybe a goal scorer or two, if you think we're going to score.
Look, it's going to be a tough. Well, I say it's going to be tough. Like, you've got all of these people saying 6-0, but why go positive when, if you looked at the stats of like the last games that we've played, I reckon it's going to be just about. I've changed it from a 2-2. It's going to be a 3-2 to us. Just about with a late minute winner. I reckon we're going to change it around this time instead of them being a late minute winner.
All right. Well, I'll take a late minute win. I'll take any kind of win at this stage because I know the next games are going to be even more painful and even more stressful. So I'll numb myself for 3 points tomorrow. But Lewis, great call. Hopefully we get to see him Monday. And I think if Jacob is up for it, maybe he can have a good chat with you tomorrow as well. And Lewis, great call, my friend. And hopefully we have you in better spirits tomorrow.
I hope so. I'm gonna watch this game tomorrow, and if we win, then I'm gonna continue watching these games. But if we lose, then nope. That's it. That's the end for me.
I don't really need to tell you what to do with the rest of your season. Spurs have probably crushed your heart plenty of times. I don't think I need to tell you to be up for it. It's just whether you feel like you're up for it, Lewis. I don't blame you at all, my man. I don't blame you at all. Great call, Lewis. And
before I go, I just all of these fans. I don't know how you're smiling at the moment. But look,
we're sick in the brain. I think that's why.
Yeah,
it's getting used to it, Lewis. So this is the problem, my man. I know you. You're young. You shouldn't be having these worries on your shoulder, right? Yeah. I don't think people are smiling at the situation. I think it's just kind of like we've been here so many times that everyone's like, okay, right, we're doing what Spurs do. But also you've got to smile, man. You've got to smile because otherwise you will grow up to be a real miserable old man, and you're not that. So
no,
don't worry.
Not yet.
I hope I come on this fan show whenever. What is it, Monday? It is, isn't it? Monday.
Yeah, come on Monday. Post-match fan show tomorrow too.
I hope I have a smile on my face. If not, then I'm just going to go for a full-on rant and everything's going to be out. Levy out, Enoch out. Well, still is from the past 2 years that we've had. I've always said that, but
I like it.
Since the protests, yeah.
I like it.
All right.
Well,
thanks,
have
guys.
a good rest of your Friday, my man. Have a good rest of your weekend. Hopefully Spurs don't ruin it.
I really hope not. All right. See ya.
See you soon,
All
Lucas.
Right,
or Lewis, sorry. Well, you wish that kid well. You hope that he's able to I don't even know. Like it's not like Spurs are going to give him a 5-0 tomorrow to make himself feel better. I can promise you that. I don't see that happening. But
see, when I was his age, I was watching players like Teddy Sheringham and David Ginola not Ginola probably. I was watching people like Teddy Sheringham and Gary Mabbott, and there was some hope within the club, and now he's he's just dashed, isn't he? All his dreams have dashed, and I bet all his mates probably support all the teams that win.
I was going to say to him, he should have found himself a Watford fan or like a QPR fan or like something like that. Yeah, find yourself somebody.
Yeah, be best friends with someone like a Millwall fan or something. Yeah,
exactly. Well, last guest of the evening. Thank you very much, Ava, as well, for helping me out thus far, and I do really appreciate it. And I've been having a good time, so we really do appreciate you and everybody. I've been putting in Sava's link to his channel as well, so please do go support it. Please go hit that big red sub button. I think they've actually changed it. It's no longer a big red sub button, but still, for those who've been on the YouTube long enough, at least in my head, it is. So please go show him some support. But last one here is the Phil Army. Sorry,
I'm here,
Phil.
Jacko. I'm here.
Sorry, jumped in on you a little quick. Didn't even give you
How's
a
it
chance
going?
there.
You're right. You're right, Savitt.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Good.
Well, what's on the mind today, Phil?
Well, I just want to bring up Sav's point about Maddison. I think he's right. You know, I think we need to get rid of this double pivot in midfield. I think we need to go to 3 in midfield and have a creative midfielder in there. In my opinion, I think we've been missing that for a good number of years. I would like to see Kim Min-jae at this club. I don't know if that's far-fetched or not, but I think he would be perfect in a back 2 with Romero. He's the type of leadership qualities that we need in that back line. And yeah, I think that would be perfect for us with Adozie coming in.
The Kim Min-jae signing is one of the most frustrating things because I believe it was the same summer we signed Joe Rodon. And we actually had spent $4 million more on Joe Rodon than we actually needed to on Kim Min-jae.
That turned out well, didn't it?
So that to me is not
still,
even.
He's still got to come back, Jack. He could be our main man next year. You never know. you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
That just speaks though.
You don't know, do you? They might have plans for him. You know, when he comes
Phil,
back.
We've spent all this time, right? Everyone's like, Dyer out. Hold your horses, because we could get Dyer out and it'll be Rodon starting next to Romero and we'll be going,
that was what was more impressive from Steve Hitchen, was to actually find somebody worse than Dyer and Sanchez and all those guys, was to be like, no, I'll make it even worse for you. I'll make the problem even
To be honest, I can see Sanchez going out the door. I think we'll try and maybe get 10, 15 million for him if we can. But yeah,
mad, Phil, that he had the opportunity this January to go. There was a big leaked rumor that he had an opportunity to go to a French club. I believe it was like Nantes or something like that. And
isn't the worry with that, lads, that obviously this is a topic that's discussed a lot, not just with Sanchez, it's with a lot of players that we need to get rid of. I think it falls into a couple of categories for me. One is how many clubs out there have got money, right? So there's the first problem is, and then we can counter that by going, okay, we have to sell them cheaper. Cool, got that. Biggest thing for me is some of these boys are going to be on really good salaries. And the clubs where we're likely to sell a Sanchez to sell a Harry Winks to, do you know what I mean? To sell an Ndombele to, are they going to go, what do you want at Spurs? I don't know, Sanchez, 70 grand a week. Yeah, we'll give you that. Then it's down to the player to go, okay, I'll take a pay cut. So it is a double-edged sword, getting rid of the players. But
the way it's looking, Savva, just to cut you off. Sorry, mate. I think with these players coming back off loan, I think we're going to have to loan them again and get loan fees for them. I think that's the realistic. I think that's the realistic option. I think some of them we might get fees for, but like you say. Is the money there in Europe, if they want to buy these sort of players, and if we're going to put big price tags on them, is it going to be realistic for
who's going to buy Sanchez? What sort of club do we realistically think will come in for a Davinson Sanchez or even an Ndombele at 200 grand?
Or that they don't have money to waste anymore, Sava. Like, they're not cash flushed anymore, where they can make boneless, like they can throw 5 million at a guy, see if it works. Like now most of these clubs only have 5 million to spend in a whole summer. Like they just bring in a bunch of loan deals and things like that. Like look at half of these European clubs that once used to be able to spend decent money no longer can, and are finding themselves having to be a lot smarter with their money. So if they're being smarter with their money and they're being more conservative with it, they're not buying Davinson Sanchez's and Eric Dyer's of the world. Yeah,
it's a catch-22 for some of these players, because do they want to stay at this club and earn the amount of money that they're earning at this club? And if they want to be passionate about football and want to get to that next level, as a player, and move forward and go to another club and get regular football, it's like, what do you want? Do you want the money, or do you want to be a better footballer? So with some of these players, like the Celso and Dembele, I don't think he's got a future at this club. He has got qualities, but I don't think he's got a future at this club. But Lo Celso, I can see maybe coming back in if the right manager is in place. Maybe.
I saw a lot of love for Lo Celso when I did that stream with Ben and Ash Maddock. It was surprisingly loving of Lo Celso. Højbjerg was getting ripped to shreds. in the comments, but Lo Celso, everybody seemed to have a really fond opinion of, or not even fond, like just people seem to see him as a guy that could maybe still have a chance, / maybe wasn't put in the right system, which I found just interesting.
I think most of these players in midfield that we have, I think all of them, in fact, they're all the same. They're all the same type of midfielder. Yeah. We need creativity in there. We are missing that big time. And Madison,
I just hope, Phil,
it's the box.
I really hope that. Listen, I'm all for a 2-man midfield if your 2-man midfield is a prime Kante and a prime Kovacic. Do you know what I mean? But I think if not, you've. I just pray. Listen, I'm all for if a manager comes in that plays an attacking version of wing backs, cool. But I really want a manager that comes in, goes to a back four, and gets a triangle in midfield that works. And for me, when I look at Basuma, I think a top manager. So I think a more forward-thinking manager gets the best out of him. And what I said earlier, when I messaged into the show earlier, Jack, and said that Maddison for me would be the best player we've signed in the last 10, 15 years. What I wasn't comparing him to players we've bought and then they've got them, you know, we've coached them to be good, like Son, like Gareth Bale. I'm talking about buying a player that is ready-made right now. And when Henry and I did this yesterday, when Henry Wright and I did a video together, and we said, if you look at the boxes that Maddison ticks, right? So he's got creativity, goals and assists. He's got all three of those things, right? Homegrown, set pieces, 26, 27. So he's got loads of experience of the Premier League. For me, I can't see anything about signing James Maddison that you go, oh, that's risky.
Only if we get a manager. Only if it's a manager that's going to play a double pivot. He can't be in a double pivot for me. No. He has to play beyond the striker. So it all depends on how the next manager comes in and how his formation is and how he wants to play. But with the other player that you said, Jack, and Dave as well, Gonçalves, is it?
Yeah.
Plays for Sporting. Yeah.
The guy who scored the halfway line goal, right?
Yeah. I remember. His stats speak for itself as well, but the only I think Maddison would be a better option because he's proven in the Prem. You know,
I think Maddison is a better passer of the ball from what I've seen. I think Gonçalves, like that dude, is clearly a good goal scorer, but he's kind of maybe developed more the creativity to his game more recently. Because even that season when he got like 23 goals after Bruno left, he only had like 2 or 3 assists or something. Kind of, you know,
he got 3.
Yeah, so that's
assists,
like. And then I heard somebody who actually watches, you know, the Premier League a bit more often. They said like that passing range to his game is, is coming a lot, it's coming along a lot more, but it wasn't there originally as much. He was just kind of like a very versatile, technically gifted player that could sort of just score goals. And I think that's a very good kind of guy to go after. But that's what's different, where if you're looking for somebody to fill the Eriksen role, I don't know if Gonçalves is actually the guy to do the Eriksen role. I think he would be his own kind of player. I think Maddison would be better at probably filling that Eriksen.
Yeah, I can see Maddison having a good chemistry with Kane as well. You know, I just think it would work so well with them two. I think it would. I think it would be perfect.
Can I just address this? So Lynch 616 in your chat has said, if we go to a back four, what we're going to do with Porro and Destiny. But I think, Phil, I said this just now. I don't know, you're probably listening in the background, but for me, I think if we use the Poch template, so to speak, where look, Walker and Rose were very attacking fullbacks. If you get a good solid partner next to Romero, you can have that, and then you can have Basuma and a defensive midfielder. The reason I don't talk about Bentancur, by the way, is because none of us know what's going to happen because of the length of this injury, right? So
good point.
If you get in a defensive midfielder and then him and Basuma as the box-to-box that can almost drop in when Porro and Adoji go, that for me is what I think a forward-thinking manager will do. That's what Pep's done all his career, right? It's what Wenger did at Arsenal. It's a lot of these forward-thinking tactical managers, they manage to utilize the fullbacks whilst having a couple of midfielders that drop in.
And that's what he does with Rodri and Stones at the minute, isn't it? He's got four at the back, and he's got Rodri and Stones to just cover.
Yep.
You know, and that's what we need really. Højbjerg, I don't think does it as well as Basuma would do if he was in like a 4-2-3-1. But Onana from Everton, he would be perfect with Basuma.
He's the closest looking thing to Moussa Dembele when it comes to ball carrying. He carries the ball like Moussa Dembele did, where he just like sort of glides past people with the long legs and everything. I really like
a Vieira type. He reminds me of a Vieira type to me.
Yeah, and he likes to get forward. Even one of those goals that he nearly scored against us when we were at home, like he just took it past our whole defense. I remember on one of those runs as well. So I like the looks of Onana. Would you say though, with what Porro and Udogie though, lads, like I don't know. I think Porro game by game is improving defensively. I don't think he's by any sense like a great defender at this moment in time, but I feel like he's only going to get better and he's only going to learn from the Premier League and the quality of it. And he's still quite young. His ability on the ball is second to none, as we can see, especially when comparing him to the likes of maybe Emerson and even the rest of our fullbacks and wingbacks. So I don't know, like with Porro, I think he could adapt to playing in a back four. Udogie has like the build and the body to be able to play in a back four. I'm not really as worried to answer Lynch's question. I'm not that worried actually about those two. I think they'll be able to do it.
I think them two, they would be comfortable in playing four at the back. I think that they've got the qualities. Porro is a bit suspect offensively at the minute, but he's just bedding in at the moment, so we can't really judge him straight away. Udogie looks a real good player. Very promising player, and he gets assists as well and goals. So we may have the Walker and Rose replacements, which we have been craving for. That we have been craving for so many years, you know, and maybe we just got them two now.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys think as well, but I truly believe that if we went to a 4 and had the more orthodox 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it, I think then you get more out of a Kulusevski.
Yeah,
playing in a more orthodox
and a Son.
And so, of course some, but I just mean like when I watch Kulusevski, I look at a player and I think he shouldn't be spending like now. He spends so much time deep in the formations we've had with the managers, very, very deep. I think if you've got a forward-thinking manager that can get a Madison Gonçalves, whoever in that number 10 role, picking passes at will, just think Kulu, Son, and Kane will be the most relieved free people. Forget the fans. They'd be the most free relieved people at Spurs, knowing that they don't have to go and create themselves, that they've got a bloke that is, Madison for me is a scanner. And what I mean by that, he's one of those players, and Eriksen was this player as well. There's not many of them in football, but he knows the next pass. He knows before the ball's at his feet where the players are around him, and he will, whether he puts it into the channels, whether he whips it in behind. That's what we have not had since Christian Eriksen.
Well, he also knows how to take more risks than other players do. And that's the thing. Like Højbjerg and Skip, if they saw the pass that you're talking about, Sava, I think they would take it. But they can't scan the pitch all the time like maybe Madison can and pick out that pass. They only do it so often, like you brought up before, and they don't do it often enough for us to really break down teams. And you see Eriksen and Madison, the moment they pick up the ball, they'll spray a pass that you don't even see on the TV. Right, they'll spray a pass that you don't even see probably yourself in the stands that was think and that's what we've been missing in this team.
Yeah, I think Kane's been missing that creativity as well. Since
someone to take that burden away from him.
Take that burden away from him. Take that creativity. Well, take that creativity away from Kane. I know it's a bit silly because he does set up goals for us as well, but he can be in the box more. He can, get headers, and he can still drop off. But be more so in the box and let someone else, like a number 10, do it. I think we do need that 100%.
I think Kulusevski, to Sava's point too, it feels like he's a guy that probably not even deserves, that's a weird way to put it, but I think he's a guy that would thrive more if we did just have more of the ball. He's not exactly the most counter-attacking built player. Like, I think he's done well in his own right with the sort of counter-attacking system that we do have, but he seems like a guy that would do really well if we had plenty of the ball and plenty of possession. Kind of scared me when Guardiola sort of like was giving him all that high praise, because it was kind of like, all right, eyes away, hands off, like, because you don't want a guy like him.
Imagine him in Arsenal setup. Imagine Kulu.
Exactly. It's like him in a Pep Guardiola even type team where he gets to break. Right. Kulusevski is the best guy in the world to be able to break down teams, because he can whip in those crosses, take on his man, and be able to also shoulder them off with the strength. He seems like a guy that's perfect if you had 60, 70% possession of the ball. So that's where I got a bit worried when Guardiola was very interested in him after that game, because it was like, geez, he would do pretty well in Man City's team.
Do you know what? I've just looked, and James Maddison at Leicester City has played 164 Premier League games and has got 79 goal contributions. So we're talking about a bloke that 1 in 2, and in the last 4 years,
that's really fluctuated,
right? Well, and that's without a Harry Kane, a Son, and a Kulu to feed. And what's more telling than
he doesn't take penalties either.
Right. And in the last 4 years, the only English player with more goal contributions is Harry Kane.
Yeah.
See, next season, what would be lovely is if we sign Maddison, guys, I want to see Harry Kane's assists say 0. Right. I want to see Harry Kane's goal column say 42.
20 headers, 20 tap-ins.
That's what I was going off. That's what I was going off. Take him away from the creativity side of it and get more goals from Maddison. That's what I was talking about, really.
Isn't that what Antonio was trying to do this season, though? Whether he did it successfully or not is another thing, but he tried to get Harry Kane more in the box, and he tried players like Sonny to get more on the ball, to drop deep, and maybe he was trying to take that burden away from Kane, and it was unsuccessful.
Well, Kulu and Sonny have been restricted since Conte has been here, I believe. I think if we had more of a front playing manager, I think we'd see more goals and assists from them too. I think they have been restricted this season, and I think next season, if we had a Nagelsmann, maybe a Poch, someone of that ilk, I think you'd see better performances from them too, 100%.
But also, managers in the last 3 or 4 years haven't been able to do it, because we can talk about restricting Kane coming back and linking up play, but there simply hasn't been anybody at the club capable of performing that duty. When we had Ericsson, when Ali was, remember him, he used to be a professional footballer. When we had Ali, when we had Ericsson doing it, it was great. Now we haven't got that. You look at Arsenal and you look at City, the two teams that are flying above everyone else, but they play the best football in the league. I know we don't want to say it, but those two teams do. Yeah. And what they've got is loads of blokes behind the centre forward that are all comfortable on the ball, that basically say, you stay up there. You stay up there. We'll do all of this. We'll drop deep. We'll create. We'll do all the intricate passing. You finish it. And Arsenal have got Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, Trossard that can all do it. City have got 400 of them. Spurs have got no one, because all of our midfielders are Skips, Sars, Højbjergs, Bentancur, Basumas. They've all got their strength, but none of them are that creative force that Harry Kane will go, when he gets the ball, I'll make a run.
Yeah, and the Arsenal's forward players, they've got license to do that because they're so comfortable with what they've got behind them as a defensive unit. They don't worry. They don't worry about that. They have the license to do that. With us, our midfield, we are constantly worrying about our back four and our back three. They don't get forward as much.
Yeah,
and I think we're so restricted of going forward, because we're so worried about what's behind us.
But I've seen a lot of people making these points, Jack, about Maddison's injury records. And
I was going to say our medical department would love him then.
Well, this is the thing. I don't know how much of that we're actually taking out of context for his injury. I've just looked, and in the last 7 seasons, Yeah, this will be the only season he's played less than 32 league games. So when we're talking about massive injuries, last season he played 35. This is league, 35 league games. The season before that he played 33.
The only season you said he's played less than 32, fewer than 32?
At the moment he's played 23. And if he was to play their last, what are they going to have, 9 games? If he's going to play their last 8 games.
This being the only one that he's played fewer than 32 is kind of, debunks
he'll
that
hit
a little
32
bit.
if he plays every game now.
I mean, what's his injuries? What's his injury record? I mean, what injuries did he have? Was it hamstring or,
I don't know. It's all that assisting. It hurts your legs. All that creativity. He's
quality, mate.
He's been my number one dream signing for Tottenham for 4 or 5 years. I remember when he was at Norwich. I remember the first time I properly saw him at Norwich and went, he can play. Like that boy can play.
How he hasn't got in the England team, I don't know.
Southgate, that's a whole different conversation, that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even when he played him the other day, he stuck him out on the left wing, and you're like, what are you doing? But
that's
for me,
it's
a no-brainer. But would he want us? Because I think the problem is here. I think the moment James Maddison is on that transfer market, I fail to believe that City, Chelsea, Liverpool, I fail to believe that they're not all going to go, hang on. City are about to lose, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, possibly Mahrez, maybe Foden. Yeah, Liverpool desperately need midfielders and more creativity. Chelsea are Chelsea.
They just have to be they have to be in the room.
Yeah. Just there.
I think they would. I think they would be in the mix, but I think if we want to act like a big club and go for these quality players, we need to do it now. We need to get this in now. Instead of waiting till the summer. Put a bid in now for him. And then
Maddison, would you say, lads, would he walk into pretty much any team in the Premier League?
I mean, look, at Man City, obviously you're going to rotate because that's what Pep Guardiola does.
But he doesn't stick out or anything like a sore thumb, you think, in any team. Like, he doesn't drop.
I think he gets into every single team. I think
Newcastle.
The only question would be with the way the way Man City play and the way Arsenal play, he would have to rotate in those squads. If he came to Spurs, he's playing every game.
Week out.
He's playing every game. First name on the team sheet for me. So it is what it is. But I do think there's certain players that will be scrambled after. And the fact that he's English, the fact he's going to cover homegrown is going to be a huge box ticking exercise for every club.
What do you think of Kim Min-jae? So do you think he'd be a perfect signing for us at the back?
I think he would. I think again, what's happened is I think similar to Maddison, I think we've missed the boat.
Yep.
And now I think that if Kim Min-jae was to go on the market, I think the season Napoli have just had, people are going to go, yeah, we'll have him, because centre backs and creativity, there's not many of them in the world, right? Not many top players in those positions. I think a bigger club, I think a Madrid, I think a Man City, I think lots of clubs would go for Kim Min-jae. And that's where, if we're going to be smart, Phil, we need better scouting so that we're the ones that get them at the get-go rather than
get him before everyone else does and then tie him down. I'll see what you're saying. I feel his release clause is about 40 mil, isn't it? Something like that.
Something like that.
So I think it's perfect sort of price tag for our club. It's just whether we could have that pull for him to come. I mean, Sonny's there, so that's a bit of a pull. So I don't know. Maybe we'll put a bid in for him. I'm hoping so anyway. But I think he'd be perfect for us. He'd be a good captain for us, I believe.
I think he'd be a wonderful signing. Him and Romero together, would be, because Romero's he's a complete roller coaster of a player, isn't he? He sometimes looks brilliant. Other times you go, what are you doing? But I think if you can get a settled back four, right, get him a partner that he trusts and that trusts him,
Yeah.
I think get them some protection from a pop like a Wanyama figure or a Dembele that protects. I think you see a different player. So for me, I don't think everyone's talking about fixing our defense. I think you could do it with one clever signing. I'm not saying you wouldn't need backups, but one clever centre half playing a 4, you could have your back 4 for next year in place.
We do need a goalkeeper as well. Definitely for next year, we need a replacement for Lloris.
For sure.
That's definitely one of the important positions we need: a goalkeeper, a centre back, and we need a Maddison type player going forward.
I don't know. I mean, this might be the last thing that we could talk about, and unless you guys have something, but this is something I know, Sava, that you probably would talk about on your channel or something that you would enjoy. And I'm curious what you make of my theory here. Do you feel like center backs were in this transitional moment where the Sergio Ramoses, the Pepes, the Thiago Silvas, right? They're all kind of reaching their heyday, reaching their end of their career. And there's not really a ton of people that you would point to right now that are obvious contenders to replace them. It feels like we're in this moment where the next Sergio Ramoses, the next Van Dijks, the next best defenders in the world are kind of all at the 23, 22, 21-year-old age and are kind of yet to really shine or yet to really come to fruition. Do you feel like if we are going to get a top-of-the-line defender, we might be sort of taking more of a risk on a younger guy? Because I've noticed, just by the way, guys, like you look at all the other top squads, most of their defenders are quite young. Arsenal, they have very young defenders. Man City have pretty young defenders. Barcelona brought in really young defenders with like Araujo and Koundé. It seems like maybe the next best center backs, Gavardiol is like what, only 21, you know, a guy like him. So what do you guys think? Maybe the next best defenders in the world are not 27, 28. They're all like kind of 23, 24, 22, kind of a lot younger.
Yeah.
So to fix our defense, do we bring in less of a 29-year-old? We bring more of like a 23-year-old like into this team to fix the defense. That might be a bit unproven.
I think you're right. Look, I think again, I've said this for years. I think the quality of footballers is lacking sorely from what there used to be a plethora of top centre halves, top keepers, top strikers, top playmakers. I don't feel there is anymore. I think players are very much more system-based players now. People fit, square peg and square hole, so to speak. But yeah, I think we need to be. I think with centre halves, you've got to be clever. I don't think you need the best centre halves in the world.
But what I mean to say is, if I asked you, Sava, who the top 5 best defenders in the world right now, we would all give different answers. That's what it feels like. We're in this transitional moment right now where we just don't really. There aren't any established names. It feels like at this moment in time for who the best defenders are. So you're almost taking a risk. You're better off actually taking a risk on some guy that. Yeah, he has a bunch of hype and a great compilation reel on YouTube and everything. But like, I think the next best defenders in the world who are going to replace that generation are probably all quite young right now, and don't have many games under their belt. We might have to take a risk on a young kid. It feels like.
Jack. Do you know what? Look, even if we went back 10 years ago, if you had said to me and Phil, best 5 defenders in the world, you go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as you said the best defenders in the world, my brain went, okay, right, who have Barca got? Who have Madrid got? I'm having to.
It's hard.
I'm having to really think, because even if I look at let's look at the Spanish giants. I like Araujo at Barca, but I don't consider him to be one of the best.
But they only just came here too, so they're like a year or two, and they're not even well established yet. Like they could fall off in a year or two, and then we would be silly for calling them world class or like something, right? So this is what I mean.
For sure, absolutely, mate. I don't know where. I mean, look, there was lots of hype about De Ligt, who went to Bayern Munich from Juve. I feel like he's a good player, but he's not this all singing, dancing, commanding centre back. You look
Bastoni.
at Bastoni, I see him, and sometimes he looks good. Other times, I think you're right.
It doesn't feel like Puyol and players like that. Like it doesn't feel like that was my generation. It was like the Puyol and Sergio Ramoses of the world.
Yeah, there's no standout.
I was towards the tail end of Vidic as well. Like Vidic would have been in there for me. It's just not obvious. It's not obvious anymore.
Like back in the day when you had Nesta, Cannavaro, all them type players. I don't think there's a defender nowadays that are at that level at the moment. They're all.
Isn't that how it is
they're
though,
all-
Phil? Though it's just that's normal though. Like that's what I mean. It's transitional. Like it's just
Yeah,
gonna be
of
the case
course.
that like we're going through this moment where it's just not the case that the best defenders in the world are so obvious. Like we're gonna have to wait a few years till they sort of establish themselves.
Yeah, I think it's not all about defending nowadays. I think it's, you know, if you get a good ball playing defender at the back as well, that's very important nowadays. But yeah, obviously you have to have that mix, but it's hard to find, like you say, it's hard to find a great defender nowadays, you know, and that's why you have to have good scouting at your club, and we don't have that.
Got to. The thing is, if you look at centre backs that other clubs have bought, and sorry, I know people will hate this. Let's look at them lot down the road, right? Before they signed Saliba, who's Saliba?
Yeah, exactly. Great point.
You watch Saliba play now, and you go,
but now everybody wants him.
Who scouted him? Yeah, Saliba there. You look at Leicester when they signed Fofana. Like, how are those clubs able to go, oh, he's a good young player?
Look at Kim Min-jae, how he replaced Koulibaly,
Right.
right? He made Koulibaly seem like, I mean, no one's even talking about Koulibaly anymore leaving Napoli. He's replaced the shoes quite easily, and no one even knew anything about him beforehand.
Do you know what I think we need, Jack, more than anything? I think we need sensible defensive signings. Yeah, I think when you talk to people, right, everyone automatically reaches for the stars. We go, oh my God, let's go and get Bastoni and Vardial.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Well, that's a nice dream to have. But the moment that Vardial goes on the market, he's not joining Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah,
right?
everybody wants him. Yeah.
For me, it's about sensible, seasoned pros, if that's what you want, that have played in the Premier League for years, that know, even like an Anderson, I'm just for example, before everyone bombards me, a solid Premier League player that's played in the Premier League for years, does a job, isn't going to be 100 million. We're not going to talk about him in Ballon d'Ors and Teams of the Year, but every game gives you, like a Michael Dawson did.
Or
every
Cody. Cody's another prime example, you know.
Defenders that can defend, love to defend, know their job, give you a 7 or 8 every game. What we have is we have players that have a great game every 25 games. Like Sanchez will have a good game every 25, 30 games. And then the hype starts of, well, hang on. If he can just keep doing this, you're like, well, hang on, we're 6 years in now, like, or whatever we are. Like, no. I want solid and dependable at the back. And at the moment, our best defender is anything but dependable, right? And our crap players are anything but solid. So, look, it shouldn't be this.
So you wouldn't write off the defender if we didn't break the bank. Let's say you wouldn't write it off, Saba, as long as you, because it might be the next Kim Min-jae, it might be the next Saliba. You never know, and that Saliba might only cost 22 million or something stupid. Yeah.
This is the thing, Jack. Have a look at, somebody's put it in the chat. Mr. Chase in the chat has put, have a look at Bella Kotchap
Oh,
at
he's
Southampton.
sick.
Right? For example, how have Southampton gone and scouted that lad? Now, people will go, oh, they're bottom of the league. Yeah, but they're not bottom of the league because of Bolaketcha.
He got called up to the German national team, I think, for the World Cup even. Like, that's, I mean, German national team calling up a Southampton player. You never thought you'd say that out loud.
No. And so, for example, like King Hodder was said, you won't challenge for the league, though, with Anderson level centre-backs. But before we think about challenging for league titles, we've got to build. Like, you've got to, we're not going to go from here, title. You have to build slowly.
It's going to be 3 or 4 years, isn't it?
Right. Get in your Anderson. Then as we start getting better, as teams start to see we've got an identity and we're challenging for trophies and stuff, then we go, right, let's go and get that top centre half. But right now, and Phil, you've heard me say this before with Vardial.
Yeah.
I love it when people go, oh, if Levy had ambition, he'd get Vardial. It's not about if Levy's got ambition. If Vardial's got ambition, he's not joining Tottenham.
Unless he's a big Luka Modric fan, you know, during those. That's what I mean. It's the same thing with the managers. It's like, unless they were wearing a Jurgen Klinsmann kit, you know, back in the day, like it's also when you're competing with the best like whenever it's like, it's when everybody's looking at you, everybody wants you, like everybody wants a piece of you. It's not going to be the case that Spurs are going to always be the one lucking out on it. Levi Colwill is a great example too of kind of what I'm talking about. This new generation that's sort of like coming through. Like it's just the case that just the established names, I feel like, are no longer the established names. We're just going to have to accept the fact that there will be the next best defenders in the world. We're staring right at them, but we just don't know who they are yet. Like we just don't even know who they are yet.
Can I say something, Jack? Sorry.
Go ahead.
So Val Taylor in your chat has said, so now we're back to a project. Every football club is always in a project, right? Man City are in a project, right? Everyone's in a project. But when we're saying we're back to a project, where are we? Like, what do people think we are? Like, the whole thing is everyone's saying we need an identity, we need a manager with an ethos. That's not a project. That's starting a
simple
plan.
basics.
We're at a standstill at the moment. We haven't got a plan, and we ain't going. We are where we were last season, so we're stuck where we are. We ain't going backwards, and we ain't going forward. So we have no plan. We have no project at the moment, because we haven't got a director of football that's at the club. No. We haven't got a manager at the club, and it's a mess. So, like, next season, we need to sort all these problems out before the season starts next season. So, it will sort itself out, I believe.
It will have to at some point. Just talking about defenders, a player I've liked, and again, it's difficult because he's played in the Championship, right? But the guy that Company brought in, Bayer, who's playing centre-half alongside the lad they've got on loan from City. Is it Harewood Bulis?
Harewood Bulis, yeah.
Bayer is a very good defender. Now, people go, he's in the Championship. Yeah, I'm just looking at, surely we need to buy a centre-half partner for Romero. Plus, you then want one or two up-and-coming centre-backs that give you your four. And then you can get rid of your Tanganga, your Sanchez, your Diet. Do you know what I mean? You can't, we can't just go out and go, let's go and buy 3 top centre halves. It doesn't work like that.
And this is why it's sort of pissed me off with the academy, because we haven't had them sort of players come through the ranks. No. A good centre half that's coming through, into the first team. We haven't had that for ages.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That would solve a lot of problems, and I know Levy would enjoy that as well, because then he wouldn't have to. Wouldn't have to pay for somebody to come in.
Like that Jordan Bayer that Company's got in from Mönchengladbach, 22 years of age, right? How can Burnley scout a good player and we can't? That's what you have to ask yourself, right? That's Burnley. No disrespect to them. Well done, great job. But.
Why is their scouting department years ahead of ours? Clearly,
right. Where did Brighton keep plucking these players from? Where did Brentford? Where did Brentford pluck these players from? Why can we not do it?
I think what it is just a lot of clubs have realized, well, if we can't spend the money that City and all these other clubs can spend, how our strength can be is in our scouting department and making the right decisions in these sort of areas, making these small and minor type things all kind of seem and work together. And then you have a competent running club. And if you can beat most of these clubs with competency, like even if they have more money than you, as long as you're running a tight ship and you know what you're doing, you'll probably actually outpunch them. So I think that's what it really comes down to, is just more actually the competency of these guys, because they clearly have the right people in charge. Even if they have a £10 million transfer budget or £100 million transfer budget, they know how to spend it and they'll spend it well. And that's another thing too, is that even if you give Spurs' scouting department 200 extra million, it's not like they're going to spend it like any better. They're going to waste it on other players that might not work out. So a huge part of it.
The thing is, Jack, for me is there's a lot of players that are signed by other clubs that we would turn our noses up, and rightly so, because we don't know a lot about them. We go, they're not good enough for us, blah, 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 blah. I think the problem, it's a double-edged sword, because for me, if you're a Brighton fan right now, and Brighton bring in a bloke, and all the Brighton fans go, who is that? All of them will have faith that their scouts have done the job. They've seen it over and over and over again. The problem is, we don't have any faith, because
It's never
we
happened.
Don't do it right. So if we had a director of football and scouts that had brought through an Alexis McAllister, brought in a Matoma, brought in a Mark Cucurella, a Basuma, I could keep going, right? Then when we make a signing, we wouldn't all be sitting there going, who? We'd go, well, hang on, look what they did last year with 1, 2, 3. This bloke's the next one. But we don't buy ready-made well, and we don't buy promising
talent for the
well.
future well either. Yeah, we don't buy it.
So they believe in the project. That's why. But our players don't believe in anything at the club at the minute, you know, because we don't have a plan.
Tomori as well. Somebody's put Tomori. I'd love Tomori. I thought when Spurs played Milan at our ground, I thought he was sensational. But again, we don't bring them through like Tomori. We don't buy like Tomori. Do you know what I mean? Just
that's another problem though. Is like we might even have a talented player in our ranks, but they never get the chance to even breathe any sort of minutes in the first team. And then what's the point? Like, you know, there's part of the reason we think our academy sucks is because they're never even given a chance in the first place to come into the team.
Yeah, you've got an Indika as well, who's on a free transfer at the end of the season, you know, and he's left-footed.
He turned us down, didn't he?
Did he?
Look,
I heard that as well. I think it was wages related.
Rumors in football. Apparently, he was waiting for it's Barca and I've heard it's Barca and Arsenal.
Was this in January when we were going for him? Was it, or was it
last summer? We were going after him, and this January we were looking at him, I think, too. And now he's going to go on a free, I believe.
Let's be fair. Where are you going? Barca, Arsenal, or Spurs?
Well, I'm not gonna,
I know that sounds awful, but
I know what you're saying, but you know, you can sort of persuade these players to come to our club, you know, if they believe in something and they have the right manager at the club, and it may sway them to come to us, you know, and with the wages, if we pay them the wages.
What you've just described is two things we don't have: something to believe in and a manager. We haven't got either of those.
It's false hope, I know, but I want to believe it. All
right. Come to us. Why should I come to you? Oh, I don't know. I'm sure we'll get it right in the summer. Just come to us. Just come here.
Yeah.
Leap of faith if you're in that.
Keep the faith, man. Keep the faith.
Oh, man.
Well, Sava, is there anything you wanted to chat about or something like that? And also, I want you to plug the channel, anything that's coming up on the channel and stuff like that. And thank you very much for keeping me company. Thanks for helping me out today. Everybody, please thank Sava in the chat as well for helping me out. Honestly, it's been
big up, man.
It's been a pleasure.
No, man, all good. No, listen, I've got my own show starting at 7, but it's not about Spurs. It's just about the Premier League. But
nice.
Yeah, look, I always have my daily fix of Tottenham, and what I do think is, I've really got to go. My front door's about to go. Can I jump? I know it sounds really rude.
You've already done enough. You've already done enough.
I love you all. Thank you.
Well done, my
Much
son.
love.
Well
See you later.
Up,
Bye.
Big up.
Thank you, Sava. Thank you, Sava. Everybody, please hit that link. Show him some love. Show him some support. He's helped me out massively. He's made my life a lot easier on this fan show. It's probably made the fan show more enjoyable for half of you as well, right? Those who were on the call with me, those who are in the chat. So please big him up in the chat and show him some support. Give it that big sub. Phil, final words from yourself or anything before we end the show?
Yeah. Let's have a little talk about the Bournemouth game before we go. I think it'll be one of them grind out performances again, Jack. I think it's going to be
a disaster class last time we played them.
Yeah, I think we're just going to be having these grind out performances until the end of the season. But as long as we get the 3 points, I'm not bothered. I just want us to get them 3 points. That's the only main thing. But yeah, I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be like a 2-1. And Kane, I'm hoping Kulu gets on the score sheet because I want him to get that form back because we will need him in the latter stages of the season.
Bill, it's your birthday.
No, it's not my birthday. No, that's my mate from work. That is.
I know he is, but I feel like this time he comes off as serious. Now he's coming off as more serious than he ever has. This one came off as serious. Well, one day. One day.
I hope you lose, by the way, Sunday.
Jeez, we're going to need you to continue to bottle it, Mr. Gunner. But for me, Phil, tomorrow, I don't see it being particularly pretty. I don't see it being exactly one for the purists. I do find it that I could see us scoring early, though. For some
Yeah.
reason, I could see us scoring early. I could see Sonny like pulling off a worldie again. Feels like whenever we do score, though, early, we end up playing worse immediately afterwards. So I don't know, but I'm going to say a more generous one. I'm going to go with, I think it actually ends up being like 1-0 at halftime, finishes 3-1. I'm going to say it finishes 3-1.
Yeah,
1-0
could well
at
be.
halftime.
Will be. I think they will score. I think they will score against us because every other team has so far. So
Would you take
I
a
think
Philip Billing, by the way, of any of the Bournemouth players that you would take? Take like a Philip Billing.
To me, I think he's a championship player. To me, I think I don't. He's having an okay season. He's not stood out completely for me. He's one of their better players, definitely. But yeah, he's not like a top six team player.
I'm impressed by that manager. There's Gary O'Neill, because I think he inherited from, what was it, Scott Parker, who complained incessantly about how bad his team was and everything. And Gary O'Neill, if he were to survive relegation, that would make Scott Parker look kind of silly, and then also it would be pretty impressive, because I do feel like he probably has the worst squad on paper in the Premier League, Gary O'Neill, and he seems to be making a fair crack at it. So if anything
100%.
on Spurs related, he probably deserves a job in the Premier League.
Yeah, hopefully they don't continue their good form against us on Saturday, and they have a shocker.
Well, who knows? Spurs, they can always surprise you, Phil. They can always find a way to surprise you.
That's it, mate. That's it.
But yeah, I think we'll end it there, everybody. Hit that like button, please, on the way out. Thank you so much for those that were in the comments. Thank you very much again to Sava for helping me out on the fan show. And also, everybody, do wish Dave well. I think he's on the mend, it looks like.
Big up, Dave.
Wise, but also, I think his sister is in hospital at the stage. So also do just keep her in her thoughts. Keep Dave in your thoughts as well in that regard.
Yeah, well, soon.
I wish you all a good weekend. Hopefully Spurs don't ruin our weekends like what can happen, but everybody stay strong, stay Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Trust.
Come on.
Everybody.
Everywhere we go.